Tinsley sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barbizzel FTF Cup Series.
To the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the apron. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordan Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they're going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Oh, get your front gear.
He's got it. He's got it. Get there. No.
Canvas is in.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to race number 2 of the Modern Racing Prince.com FTF1 Series live here on FTF live here for the Pocono 400 here on FTF. My name is Sean Butler, joined by Josh Mendoza, Zach Johnson, pushing the buttons in the proverbial truck. We have Benjamin Easterday, race admin here. He's going to provide some rules analysis for us if we need it, but we're going to let him do his job, what he does best, and admin the heck out of this race. And Kevin McAdams is here too. He'll be in and out of here providing some, I guess, insight on stuff. But good to have you guys with us here. We got a long night ahead of us here. Josh, qualifying just now wrapping up, and the US 500 was a good event in and of its own at Michigan. Now we go to a completely different racetrack in Pocono, but I mean the premise might still be the same.
Yeah, the premise is the same, Sean, but a lot of things have changed about this race format. We didn't have a separate racing session, everything, or it's a separate qualifying session. It was all built within this one session where drivers had to have a 4-lap average, and those 4 laps had to be clean. Unfortunately, that did result in a couple of people not being able to qualify for today's race. We'll get that here for you shortly, but it's going to be a fun race. We're going to have a great time. I think the most important thing is we saw what happens when everyone gets too antsy last week at Michigan. This week is the start of the long haul. If you want to carry that championship title, you're going to have to start focusing on having good, clean results and accepting what you can get and not stepping over that line, Sean.
And absolutely, we saw Michigan. These cars are a handful to drive. We saw speeds in excess of 240, 250 miles per hour. That is just unheard of on the iRacing service, and now we're going to experience a lot more with that tonight. So, field starting to roll off here at a pit road just for a little bit of a pace lap here. We'll go over your starting lineup here as we look on the front row. Hamilton Akabuzi will be your pole sitter. Brandon Hawken alongside him in row 1. Jonathan Goke, row number 2, followed by Tommy Bordeaux in 4th. John Poole III, Sahaj Padir will be in 6th. Ryan Pendicio 7th, and Jake Poulin will be in 8th. Nate Stewart in the 6th car, and Paige Morton will round out the top 10.
Yeah, starting out, our 6th row will be Paul Mikolajczyk and Robert Lowry, Jack Painter, and Darren Ingram. I can speak today, I swear. David Cabrera, Blake Braywick, Austin Knight, Spencer Ray, Blake Reynolds, and in the 56 machine, not listed, but is Hunter Smith.
Cole Freilich will roll off 21st along with Brian Sabelski in the 10 car. Cody Ware, Bill Cooley the 2nd, 23rd, and 24th in row number 12. Row 13, Bryce Saucier, Corey Vervnik will be in the 26th position. Our own Justin Malillo will roll off in 27th, and Ryan Naraki will roll off 28th. Look for them two to be around each other for the entire race. Callie Bagent will be in 28th, and Isaac Johnson will roll off in 30th. I should say Callie is in the 28th, starting at 29th, and Isaac, Josh, rolling off in 30th.
Isaac Johnson was 30th, Matthew Brewer 31st, Zach Mitchell 32nd, Aaron Smith not on track right now. I believe we're getting into our DNQs here. Seth Eggert listed as 34th, and everyone else not at the track.
So making our way down one of the short chutes here, going into turn number 3. Again, no turn 4 here at Pocono. So Josh, we'll compare this to last week again. Just as wide as Michigan, but a lot flatter. So we can expect 3, 4, heck, even 5 wide at times here at Pocono. But we're getting ready to get going here. Pace car is off. Hamilton and Hawken leading him down. The green flag is out, and we are set to go at Pocono as we got trouble early. Big crash. Paul Mikolajczyk is in it. Big crash back there in an early caution. Cole Freilich weaving through it. And this took out a lot of cars to start this race.
This is the wrong direction that we wanted to be going in. We got David Cabrera sitting on the infield, no fault of his own. It looked like a small stack up near the Nate S. Stewart machine. I believe he got up to speed, and the car directly ahead of him, which looks like Ryan Pandicio, also got caught up in it. Just a terrible start of the season for those two drivers.
So caution is out. I guess 50 feet into this one here. We'll take another look. So here's the front of the grid here. We're still going to find out what happened. Jumping the start, and that is not how you're supposed to gain spots in a 400-mile race. I don't know about that move. That causes a chain reaction. You see everybody stopping, scattering, and that's going to take out a couple of good cars here. You saw Cole Freilich get to the inside. He might have some front wing damage. Spencer Ray is not happy in the race chat, to say the least. And Josh, that's an easy one that could have been avoided.
Absolutely. It was a super easily avoidable wreck. I mean, we've seen some restart wrecks here at Pocono before, but that typically involves with people going 5 wide, not a stack up of this nature. And in these cars, a stack up is a lot more. Oh man, that's a hard hit right there. It's so detrimental. because you don't have a bumper to protect your car. You got wings, you got open suspension components. All of that easily can be destroyed with just the lightest of taps. Unfortunately, we had a lot more than just the lightest of taps there. There was some pretty heavy contact.
Now, Spencer Ray, we were on board with. He is lost the front end of that car, lost the left front, lost the right front tire, and just like that, all that practice these guys have put in for this thing is pretty much gone out the window. So working our first caution here at Pocono, a 400-mile race. Not how you want it to start, but hopefully that's the first of not a whole lot of caution flags here tonight. So, Josh, I was going to kind of touch on before the green flag came out. So, Michigan and Pocono, wide enough, and Michigan is going to be a track, of course, where you pretty much don't have to lift on occasion, if maybe in the draft, but Pocono, completely different animal. You can go 4 or 5 wide here, but you better get to where you need to be on corner entry even to have a shot at making a corner.
Yeah, you really do. This is a lot more of a technical track. It is called the Tricky Triangle for a reason, Sean, and it's not easy. It's you're gonna have to be good here. As we see them come into the tunnel turn, modeled after that oh so famous track in Indiana. This will give you an idea of just who has it figured out. Especially, this is the closest thing you're gonna be able to get to testing at that famous track in Indiana for later in the season through that tunnel turn. So getting that turn figured out and so much more is going to be important. You're not going to be able to just put it all to the floor and just lift and manage the draft. This is going to be a lot more technical. And Sean, I want to point out, I feel like we're picking up right where we left off last week. Not in the crashes sense, but in the fact that you have Brandon Hawken, Hamilton Akabuzi, both very dominant drivers. We've seen so much. Hamilton winning the race last week. Hawken so fast. Our pole sitter for the last week. Both up there. And we've already had a pass for the lead in the first 100 feet.
Hamilton and Brandon Hawken both led, both with the dominant cars in that race, leading a combined 65 laps at Michigan last week. So not surprised to see both of them back up front. So we'll go over really quick. You see on the left side of your screen the running order here. We have Brandon Hawken as your leader, Hamilton Akabuzi in second, Tommy Bordeaux, Jonathan Goke, Sahaj Padir, Paige Morton, Jake Poulin, Robert Larry, John Poole, and Darren Ingram will round out the top 10. Field making their way into turn number 1. They just got the 1 to go signal, so we're going green this time by here at Pocono. Now, single file restart, Josh. Now, hopefully, this will provide a lot less drama on this. We can maybe get at least into turn 1 before some crazy action happens.
Yeah, hopefully. Unfortunately, sometimes those that are the single file restarts tend to be a little bit more difficult, especially for those drivers who don't have practice with them. It can be tricky. It's easy to get caught up in the I call it the 405 effect, where you feel like you're on Interstate 405 in Los Angeles traffic in the middle of rush hour. A small little break from somebody going from 50 to 45 could easily cascade down the line into stop and go traffic. So simple to have happen. Here on these restarts, it's so easy for a cascade effect to occur.
And they got to be aware of that, especially coming off the corners here. The green flag pretty much comes out immediately when the pace car ducks into the pit lane, and the field giving a lot of room to the safety car in this race. So the safety car is in turn 3 right now. Brandon Hawken just making his way into turn 3. So we're going to see just how clean this restart can be. Again, if you're just joining us, missed a gigantic, I don't want to say gigantic, just a large wreck to start this race. Took out a lot of good cars to start the race. Notable cars out: David Cabrera, Spencer Ray, Zach Mitchell, Ryan Araki, Jack Painter, Ryan Pendicio, all on pit road. But here we go. Field comes off of turn 3. We're ready to go back racing. Hawken is on it, and we are racing once again here at Pocono.
Looks like that restart was super good there, Sean. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to cut you off. Super good. One driver goes down to the safety of pit road. That Nate Stewart going to get some more work done to his vehicle as we see them go through turn 1. No problems this time through.
Took the words right out of my mouth there on the restart. A lot safer here. Not really a whole lot of side-by-side. First one we got to go look at is for third up here. Jonathan Goke in the 94 U.S. Air Force car takes it from Tommy Bordeaux. So slide Tommy Bordeaux back. We have another caution. Looks like further back in the field. Cole Vervinick is missing both front tires. Hunter Smith is involved down the backstretch. Bill Colley is involved as well. So we got out of turn 1 that time.
Yeah, we got through turn number 2, and unfortunately, it feels like 30 cars out here is just makes for a heck of a disaster. We got 5 meatballs assigned.
Man.
Justin Malillo being one of those, Isaac Johnson, Seth Eggert, Bill Cooley, Corey Vivek, all involved in this. And oh man, that's just
so that's Hunter Smith right there in that blue car. Corey Vervnick, I'm not sure what happened, but Smith just didn't appear to be up to speed at all coming out of the tunnel turn, and Vervink just ran him over, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, that could be anything. Maybe Hunter wasn't used to getting through turn 2 like that, lifted off throttle, and it felt like he just got tight on him, so he felt like he had to lift throttle even more. And unfortunately, Corey, nowhere to really go in that scenario, unless, he could see that happening, and that's just going to make a worse effect for him. And see right there, that's just, you can't lift going through some of those corners, otherwise it won't work out.
We had a secondary crash as well. Bill Colley, as we mentioned, Hunter Smith was bringing his car down to the apron to kind of slow it down and get out of everybody's way, and Colley just looked like he just rear-ended him going in there. So that is not an ideal start for this race at all. 2 cautions, haven't completed a single green flag lap yet. So we'll take a look. Here's Colley in that orange car, just comes up.
Oh man.
Not sure what was going on there, and then just...
Oh no, that needs to be cleaned up. Took out 2 cars. Yeah, you can't be doing that. You just ruined Justin Malillo's race.
So
and then ran into Hunter. That's just... Comes over the radio asking why everyone was going so slow. I think it might be the wreck that was happening in front of you, Bill.
Maybe, but nonetheless, that brings us under our second caution here at Pocono. Ryan Araki says he had a game glitch and he can't get out of his pit stall for some reason. So he is stuck in his pit stall right now in that number 4 car. One of the Traction GG vehicles here is currently stuck on pit road. Justin Malillo is not happy about this as well. So
I'm familiar with this bug. Unfortunately, it happens so often where you have a meatball, you get out of the car, you get it towed. You for whatever reason you can't get going, but your car is not in the right position, but it's in the pit stall. I don't know if there's a way out of that situation.
And there's Araki. See him exiting the car there, and that might be an early end to his race. We'll see if he can find a way to get that thing back going. Right now, back live on the racetrack, Brandon Hawkin is still your leader. Hamilton Akabuzi in second, Jonathan Goke third. Expect these 3 guys to be at the front of the field for a large majority of this race. Tommy Bordeaux 4th, Sahaj Padiyar in 5th, Paige Morton 6th, Jake Poulin 7th, Robert Lowry, John Poole the 3rd, and Darren Ingram will round out the top 10. And going a little further down, Blake Trawick in 11th, Callie Bagent in 12th, Cody Ware 13th, Austin Knight, Cole Freilich, Blake Reynolds, Nate Stewart, Matthew Brewer, Paul Mikolajczyk, Hunter Smith, Bryce Saucier, Brian Sabelski, Isaac Johnson, and Seth Eggert are the remaining vehicles currently in here. We got a couple still on pit road. Then you got to go back to Jack Painter. He's currently on the racetrack in 26th. And Zach Mitchell, I believe, is the final car that is still being shown as in the race in their vehicle. David Cabrera is also on pit road in 33rd. So a lot of these guys out of their cars right now, getting their damage fixed or collecting their thoughts or something. We're getting reports from Justin Malillo is the reporter Ryan Araki is too much damage and it wouldn't fix. So that could be the story of Ryan Araki, an early end to his night. And we're getting corrected now. That's actually an update on Justin. So both Ryan Araki and Justin Malillo, Josh, having, I guess, terminal problems at the start of this race.
Yeah, no, this is what's important about that US 500 finish for Justin. He had an incredibly strong run throughout the the US 500. And because that was a double points weekend, it allows him, he may not necessarily be happy with this, but at least he has one race, but it's a points buffer. It's a really good finish. And that's a great start to a season. You don't want to use a mulligan like that for race 2, but it's better to have a mulligan than to not. Where you have Ryan Naraki, on the other hand, who had a DNF last week and now has a DNF this week, is in a much worse scenario than Justin is.
Always want to make sure you're starting the season off on the right foot. So speaking of the right foot, these guys are going to be pushing the right foot down, and we're going back racing here in just a moment. Brandon Hawken, we'll see if we can do a full lap this time here at Pocono. Comes off at turn number 3, ready to get this thing going. Pace car is off. Hawken eases them in. He is on the gas. We are back racing at Pocono. Green flag officially out, and we will see just how far into this we can get without some crazy action going single file throughout the whole field into one.
Single file into one, and no side-by-side battles outside of that. We got cars making it through turn 1 just fine. And it looks like a good start throughout the field. We'll see if they can get through turn 2 and maybe turn 3 this time.
Definitely looking a lot cleaner, as there you see Hamilton right on the rear bumper. Brandon Hawken trying to get that run down the slipstream into turn number 3. He's got a massive run. He's not going to take it, though. We'll see these guys at the front be a little more patient than everybody in the back trying to clamber up. But right now, we've got pretty much a 2-car little breakaway with Jonathan Goke hanging on there. But right now, we have made it a lap under green. So first side-by-side battle a little bit further back here. Looks like that's going to be between Robert Lowry and John Poole as they head into turn number 1. That's going to be the battle for 8th.
Really sketch for some of these drivers who are not confident going into turn number 1 at speed. That's the fastest they've been all day going into a corner. These cars are getting up to about 245, 246 going into the tunnel turn here. That's a lot to just decelerate down to about, oh, we got one of the outside wall behind them. He's going to keep it straight. That's Austin Knight. That machine looks okay. No major damage, no suspension damage, just a little bit of a probably just kerfuffled driver in there. He's going to want to focus on getting back on track and focusing on going forward again.
Looked like he just got either really loose going into turn 2 or just entered it way too low, and that just kind of sent that car up the racetrack. Good to see Jonathan able to clear it up, only tapped the wall a little bit, so we'll see how that affects his car. But right now we're still racing here as we had one more come down pit road. Jack Painter in the 25. A little bit further back, he is sitting there pretty in the slipstream signs. Number 25 back there in 23rd. So Josh, we are finally looking like we're having some racing. Front 3, as you see on your screen, have pulled away. Again, that's Brandon Hawken, Hamilton Akabuzi, and Jonathan Goke, as we're looking a little bit further back here, as we gotta have a battle right now going on for 6. Paige Morton, Jake Poulin into one.
Ooh, Hamilton Akabuzi got really, really squirrely going into turn number 1 there. He put everything out there just to see what would stick, and it just about didn't. He managed to keep it underneath him, but that's something that's going to hurt those tires and definitely make him feel a little bit concerned on what he can get out there today.
Hamilton gets to the lead. Hawken will settle into 2nd. Goke is sitting behind them in 3rd, and Sahaj is and Tommy are right there within striking distance. Tommy a little bit closer, of course, in 4th. So we'll see if they can do anything with this, but speeds in excess of 248 miles per hour by Brandon Hawken. That is ridiculous in these cars, land missiles, so to speak, with these things. So they are fast, they are loud, and they are fun in the right combination. So good to see these cars getting a good run here, as these guys putting on a really good show so far. As into turn 2, still the front 3 nose to tail.
Yeah, Sahaj is doing great right now. He actually has a bit of an advantage in the sense that most of these drivers aren't used to racing around him if they don't race outside the FTF1 series of these cars. With this, we got a caution out on track. We'll get back to that point.
Big wreck in turn 3 here, and one hard into the wall off of turn 4. That is Cody Ware in the 92. There you see.
I feel so bad for her. That's just not what you want to see happen.
Cody is missing a left rear tire, and got to get a good look here. They were 3 wide going into 3. Kaylee Bigan, Cody Ware, and Cole Freilich going into turn number 3. And you'll see the 3 wide coming up right here going into turn number 3, and that is just not going to work at this stage. This was back for, I believe, the 12th position. And
oh no, that's Nate Stewart again. Kelly Bajent, Nate Stewart, Cody Ware. Oh, that's just unfortunate. I feel bad for both Kelly and Cody there. They both had DNFs last week. It's really, really not a strong showing so far for those two, and we'll see Nate Stewart just come in here and unfortunately get collected with that.
Just ramped. So Nate, right front is torn off of that car. Callie has a meatball. So a lot of cars getting taken out of this thing early. Again, this is a 400-mile race. So the amount of carnage we've had to start this thing is not setting a good tone for this. So hopefully we're getting all the wrecks out of the way. And hopefully we'll be able to get some racing here back here live on FTF. So we will go ahead and step aside for just a minute as we'll have pit stops coming down here. You'll see it in picture-in-picture. We'll be right back here to the Pocono Raceway for the Pocono 400. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more racing here on FTF. Back live at the Pocono Raceway here for the ModernRacingPaints.com FTF1 Series for the Pocono 400. Sean Butler, Josh Mendoza, Zach Johnson here with you. Kevin McAdams is going to be bumping in and out of here. He's watching dirt racing right now, so he's preoccupied at the moment, but he will come in and out of here when we have some racing going on. Not a whole lot to talk about in this one, Josh. Early wrecks have marred the start of this one.
Everything that's there to talk about has been the infield care center. I mean, we haven't gotten an opportunity to see what an actual long green flag run is. Everyone 7th on forward hasn't even pitted yet, and everyone behind that has, probably for damage or maybe just fuel up. So
to make their way out of turn number 3, the pace car will be ducking in this time. Hamilton Akabueze, Brandon Hawkins, Jonathan Goke will be your top 3, as it has been pretty much the whole race. as we go racing once again, the third restart. Hopefully this is one of the final ones. We have a little bit of a checkup back into the field. Blake Trawick is a little bit slow getting on the power, as well as Robert Lowry, but they get it going. A little bit further back, there's some jockeying for position. Brian Sabelski looking underneath Paul Mikolajczyk. That's for 17th. And field making the way off of turn number 1 down the backstretch into turn 2.
Keeping my eye on Blake Reynolds right now. He was very strong last week. He's in 10th position, just breaking into the top 10. He's going to be quick here. Hopefully we can go a few laps without that yellow handkerchief coming out on the front stretch.
It is a handkerchief for sure in this one. They have to make sure we have some durable material at the start of this race. The front of the field pretty organized, but back here around Jake Poulin, Blake Trawick, Blake Reynolds back here, this is a hornet's nest and a half, as Reynolds will look to the inside of Jake Poulin going into turn number 1. This is for 9th. Blake is going to make the pass, slide Poulin back into 10th, and Cole Freilich right behind him. John Poole, the third in that 30 car, right behind Freilich. That is 12th. So all these guys in a battle for position right here. So this is the closest racing we have on track right now.
Yeah, you're not missing anything up front right now. 0.3 of a second splits our front 2 cars, but we got plenty of racing back here. Lots of close quarters racing. I would say elbows out, but let's not do elbows out. Let's give everyone a little bit of room here, drivers.
Keep the elbows in for a while so we can get some green flag racing. Some of us have stuff to do tomorrow for this. So as we make our way into turn number 1, very organized at the front of the field. Then we take a look back here amongst about 16th, 17th back here. Matthew Brewer, Brian Sabelski back here. Paul Mikolajczyk makes his way into 1. So I think everyone's gotten the memo now, Josh. So it's looking to have single filed out a little bit now, and we might actually see some green flag racing up here as we have a battle up here for 4th. Sahaj Padiyar is going into 4th, and Tommy Bordeaux will move back into 5th.
Yeah, he'll drop back to 5th. Sahaj will go up to 4th and start to work slowly but surely towards the front of the field. I think it's about roughly 7th on forward right now is a high-speed game of chess match. 8th on back is a high-speed game of boxing. Hopefully that gets itself sorted out. But these guys are going to be slow, methodical, not try to overcook their tires, go and just make the best that they can. But Sahaj has got a lot of ground to make up, about 1.8 seconds to Jonathan Goke ahead. So he'll have to make that up as we see a 3-wide or a 3-car battle for the lead right now.
Off at turn number 3, and that's Hamilton looking to the outside of Brandon Hawken. Hamilton with a big run. He's going to take it going into 1, and here comes Goke. He makes it to 3 wide to the inside. Hawkins going to let them all go. Hamilton Akabuzzi to the lead. Goke into 2nd. So respectful racing right there by Hawken. He's going to have a big run off of turn number 1, and side by side for 2nd now as Hawkins going to have the racing line into 2, and he's going to retake 2nd back, slide Goke back into 3rd.
And all this has done is brought Sahaj closer and closer into the picture. He's 1.6 second back, so about 0.2 faster that lap. As we see them continuing to go back and forth, these guys are familiar with this kind of racing. We're gonna see some runs here. The ones who have the draft are going to be the ones that come in with the run in the corner. And I feel like we're gonna start seeing a lot of either changes for the lead or changes for 2nd, especially as this 3-car battle continues to go. I think Brandon Hawken will have the good run here going into 3.
Jonathan Goke is known for being aggressive on the service, whether it's in official racing, league racing, hosted races, and he is showing that in this race as well, taking every run he can. He just retook the 2nd position from Brandon Hawkins. So it looks like Hawken and Hamilton are kind of, content to just running, making laps. But Jonathan Goke, he wants to put the nose of that number 94 car out to the lead at all times. And don't be surprised if we see him use the draft to get a big run on Hamilton and take it the next chance he gets.
Yeah, he's gonna be an extremely aggressive driver. He likes to be out in front, doesn't like to be anywhere else. We saw that a lot last week of a lot of intense maneuvers that, it's what you have to do sometimes. So Jonathan Goke is going to continue to put the pressure here on Hamilton. We'll see what Hamilton decides to do. There's going to be so many options here. Jonathan's going to go take it to the inside. So not even going to worry about pressure, just going to go ahead and go up there and take the lead as he's going to get real tight quarters off of turn number 3. Plenty of room, plenty of respect. Jonathan knows when to win the race and when to lose it. And that was a place that he could have easily lost it if he wouldn't have lifted and giving that extra space.
Currently working lap 24 of the 160 scheduled distance. Hamilton very loose on the outside lane there in turn 1. Give the lead back to Jonathan Goke. He runs the defensive line down the long pond straight as Hamilton looks again to the outside. And Hamilton will not have the preferred groove through turn 2 as we're looking on board from Brandon Hawken right now. He's got a front row seat to this as they make their way into turn 3. Lap traffic just ahead of these guys. Jack Painter running the wall in turn 3. He gets out of the way. Good call by Jack. Not to get in the way of these guys. But right now, here comes Hamilton again, taking the run on Jonathan Goke. And Josh, while this is all exciting, right behind them, that's going to allow Sahaj and Page to kind of close in on these guys the more they start racing hard.
Yeah, it's been a slow, methodical crawl forward for Sahaj, down to about 1.4, so 4/10 off of when we first talked about it. And wow, that was an incredible maneuver to get around Paul Mikolajczyk. They make it work. That was really sketch. And I'm seeing something that I'm not used to seeing, consistent too wide through the tunnel turn. So that is something that I guess that may be a passing opportunity, albeit an extremely treacherous passing opportunity.
Definitely is. And as you mentioned, Josh, early in the race, that turn is molded after the turns at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As we look a little bit further back here, as Jonathan Goke has retaken the lead. But this whole group back here, they are just going nuts right now, driving Blake Reynolds, Blake Trawick, Jake Poulin back there. They're all single file. We see more groups heading into turn number 2 right here. So the groups are kind of getting separated at the front of the field. You got the front 3. Sahaj is back here. You see Page right behind him and Robert Lowry, Tommy Bordeaux right here. We got a slow car back here that looks like, I believe, that's John Poole in the 30 car.
Oh, there was a massive, incredible move towards the front of the field, but we're going to see a slow car. He's going to make his way down to pit road, it looks like. There was some intense racing down the front stretch. I'll say intense racing, but it was trying to break the draft of the driver behind, and it made for a very entertaining view as the driver in the lead, Jonathan Goke, went all the way down. Oh, we got a wreck off of turn number 1. Oh, boy.
Blake Reynolds hard into the wall off of turn number 2. Caution is out. What in the world happened here?
Jake Poulin is the other car involved right there.
Oh, my goodness. Blake Reynolds just got really tight off of turn number 2, and he kind of grazed the wall. 2 cars just absolutely flattened out for this one. Let's get a replay. So this is Blake Reynolds right here, just gets tight off of 2, grazes the wall, just can't corral it. There's so much grip, comes back across the racetrack. And that was, I think that was Jake Poulin, as you said, Josh, in the black car spinning right there. And those 2 guys, those cars are absolutely destroyed. So I'm not sure what happened to Blake here. Here's on board with Jake Poulin. He sees Blake getting in trouble, just nowhere for Jake to go. So difficult to figure out where Blake's car was going to be. Contact, especially in the suspension there, and that is race over for both Blake and Jake.
Yeah, if we can get an onboard here with Blake Reynolds, one of the things you'll hear as he goes out of the corner exit of the turn is he just entirely lifts off the throttle. And you got when you have a driver like Blake who is so good at oval racing, to hear him entirely lift out of the throttle on corner exit, you know he's in a situation. See it right here and listen.
Take a listen.
You didn't quite catch it there. It sounded a lot louder there, but when you go to the outside, you can hear a very clear, audible, just complete lift of throttle.
And that car is not moving after this one. So that is a tough one for both Blake and Jake here. Really looking forward to seeing those guys. And right now, finally, it looks like we're going to have our leaders making their way down pit road. Jonathan Goke, Hamilton Akabweze, Brandon Hawken will be your front 3. They've been the dominant cars. Sahaj Padiyar, Paige Morton, Robert Lowry, Tommy Bordeaux, Blake Trawick, Cole Freilich, and Austin Knight. Everybody on pit road for some stops.
First major stops of this race here. I think it's going to be a real easy decision. 4 tires, full fuel. Not really much strategy to be played here. It's just too early for any sort of super secret strategy calls.
Race off of pit road. Pretty much they come out as they went in. These guys have 9 sets of tires with this one. One set on the car, of course, and the rest of them in the pits. So taking the first set of tires on lap 29, not too bad. As down the back straightaway, the field will rejoin the safety car. And Josh, this has been both great racing and just carnage to start this race, and we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, we got plenty of distance to go. I mean, we're lap 30. We're not even close to a quarter of the way done. Well, okay. We're about 20% the way there. Maybe we're not 25%. And the amount of retirees from this race and the names of the retirees from this race: Justin Malillo, Ryan Pandicio, Ryan Naraki. You got Cody Ware, Blake Reynolds, Jake Poulin, all not going to be out of this race right now. And you just got to sit back and you got to ask yourself, what could they have done differently? And a lot of them, not much. They were pretty much rude from the moment that the incident started happening in front of them. Jake Poulin is exactly one that immediately comes to mind as a driver who was just racing a race and was in a really bad position.
Get some news on the retirees for this race. Blake Reynolds currently retired. We'll go down the list. Nate Stewart, Cody Ware, Hunter Smith. Well, Cody Ware's still interstalled there, but that car is absolutely destroyed, so you got to think the 92 is out of this race. Seth Eggert, Justin Malillo, Bill Colley II, Corey Vervinkt, Ryan Pandicio, Ryan Araki, David Cabrera, Spencer Ray will be your retirees for this race. So we should be working the one to go here as we're making our way through turn number 1. Jonathan Goke is your leader. Hamilton Akabueze second. Brandon Hawkin third. Sahaj Padiyar fourth. Robert Lowry fifth. Paige Morton sixth. Tommy Bordeaux seventh. Cole Freilich eighth. Austin Knight in ninth. And Brian Saucier in 10th. So for those of you scoring at home as well, biggest mover of the race so far goes to Bryce Saucier in that 12 car. Started in 25th. Currently up to 10th. That is a 15 position gain. For those of you that struggle at math like myself, thank you very much for ATVO for having that in there. Actually, I stand corrected. The biggest mover of this race is actually Matthew Brewer in the 1 car, plus 18 currently sitting at 13th from the 31st starting spot. So not only am I bad at math, I'm bad at reading. So my apologies, Matthew, but good run for Matthew. He's somehow avoided all the carnage, and he's put himself just outside the top 10. So we'll see how far he can get up there. And for those of you looking at home, as of everyone on the racetrack, biggest loser, I should say, for lack of a better term, most positions lost, John Poole III, minus 11 after starting 5th, currently sitting in 16th. John, get it together. Green flag's coming back out. Jonathan Goke leads him down, and Josh, we are back racing at Pocono.
Yeah, I want to mention one thing about John Poole. He's also the only one on the lead lap not currently within the points. He is 16th. We pay out to 15th in points.
There you go. Jonathan Goke snaking the field into turn number 1, making Hamilton try to go around the outside. He's going to hold the lead for now. But is it really worth it, Josh, to kind of try to block as hard as some of these guys have been? The draft is just incredibly strong in these cars.
It's not. It's not. It's lap 31. There is no way around it, Sean. There is no reason to be blocking. It only hurts yourself and never helps you. It's going to always put you in a very compromising situation to prevent a run on one lap, not even 25% into the race. It's just not worth it.
So it looks like Hamilton's going to settle in behind Jonathan Goke. They're like, all right, if Goke is just going to just run up front the whole time, we might as well just stay behind him, save some stuff, save some fuel, save tires. And I might be standing corrected here. Hamilton got a big run off of turn number 2. One guy that's just going to be very cerebral about this race is the guy in third, Brandon Hawkin, in that black and gold number 16 car on the racetrack. This is his second long race this week. He participated in the Gen 4 World 600 on Wednesday night over on eRacer. Was one of the most dominant cars in the race, but Josh, unfortunately, he got involved in one of the late race wrecks that plagued a lot of the dominant drivers in that race. So Hawkin looking to kind of rebound from that race and get himself a good run here tonight.
rebound from that race, rebound from the US 500, and close out so many, just what ifs, hopefully, from this last week. Hopefully go out there and get a good, strong result, if not a win. But Sean, we've also seen it so many times when you got a group of leaders with, for lack of a better way to put it, a thorn in their sides of a very aggressive driver like Goke. It's going to put everyone on edge, and they're going to start making moves as we get closer and closer towards the end of the race.
Oof.
Yeah, we got some crazy side-by-side action behind them. They're going to get it sorted out as we see a move here for the lead. Hamilton's going to make it easily go on the inside and just kind of make a push for the lead there.
Oh,
but
that's tight.
They're going to start making moves, and there's very good possibility that the person in 5th place or 6th place and the 7th or 8th fastest car wins this race today, because they'll end up taking themselves out.
And it's obvious that this car was designed to be run on road courses, but everyone here at FTF and FTF1, they have made it clear that this car is a heck of an oval car too. We saw the great racing at Michigan last week, all the tire conservation that was going on as Sahaj nearly hit the wall off at turn 4 there. This thing looks easy to drive, Josh, but it definitely isn't. There's a lot of throttle control that goes into this car. You're going at such high speeds. We see speeds in excess of 245 miles per hour going into turn 1, and they slow all the way down to about 200. I say only 200, but that's about the norm for these cars. As right here, Robert Lowry looking at the inside of Sahaj Padiyar into 2, not going to happen. But just behind them, we saw this battle between Austin Knight and Cole Freilich for 8th position. These guys are still side by side off the tunnel turn.
Yeah, they're going to go side by side here into turn number 3. And they are just going to maintain. Wow, it's going to get real close. They were about 1.5 feet from touching their tires together, but we're going to have another member who's going to join in. That looks like that's Bryce Osiera. He's going to make contact, going to keep it together, and that is one massive bullet dodge going into turn number 1, Sean.
That is so close, but Bryce's car looks okay. Tried to get that angle going into turn 1, but just didn't have the necessary room to do it. So that could have been a lot worse. Good job for those guys for keeping it going straight. As meanwhile, back up front, Hamilton Akabueze looking just behind Jonathan Goke, and right behind them, Sahaj has been the only one to kind of try to run that groove right by the wall. We've seen in previous, iterations of races here on the NASCAR side, there is some grip up there. As again, Hamilton going for the lead into turn 1, Goke is going to fend him off. So we've seen, and right there, that second, third lane, it has some speed in it. You just got to run it correctly to get the run off the corner.
Yeah, these cars have so much downforce, so they're able to actually maximize that limited level of grip that's normally on the outside lane like that, and able to make an additional lane or two work if they're at speed enough. You got to be at the right speed though, otherwise that corner will not work. You'll end up just getting tight and having literally no grip through that entire turn. So Sahaj, he's gonna keep trying to make it work, but he's gonna abandon that effort right here. So he lost a lot of time.
And Sahaj is the only one, like I said, running like a full lane up from what our leaders are running there. You saw him through turn 1, kind of a lane up, as right there. There's a little bit of a gap right now between Sahaj and Hawken right now. So he's doing his best to maybe kind of, as he hits the wall.
That's
off
the
of
danger.
turn 2. That's not going to help. I was going to say he might be trying to stay out of the dirty air of Brandon Hawken, but that is one of the big risks you run, Josh. That thing will not turn if the front end finds that dirty air. We saw Sahaj be Exhibit A for that.
He's going to fall back, and he's going to get a meatball flag issued to him. So unfortunately for Sahaj, an incredibly frustrating start to the season. He's got a broken right front suspension.
Oh yeah, that thing is
gonna need to bring that down. It might not actually be a broken right front suspension. He seems to have something figured out. So it's either a suspension component or a flat tire.
Now, how would race control handle this? If he chooses to stay out, if he's like, my car is driving fine, if he gets a black flag, if race official Ben Easterday deems that car is not of any danger to any other cars around, would that be able to get cleared, or does he have to serve this meatball? It looks like we're getting our answer right here.
I defer to whatever Ben would decide on that, because I mean, Ben, what do you have for us?
Yeah, he would have to serve it.
There you go. That's Ben Easterday. Busy man up there in the race controls. We see back up front. They are still jostling for position, working their way around lap traffic here. We have Callie Begant and we have Paul Mikolajczyk kind of slipping back, letting everybody go. Brandon Hawkin kind of got held up there, so he's going to lose a little bit of time to Hamilton and Goke. So the front two kind of driving away right there, but I think Hawkins should be able to hang on. So this might be the long run portion of this race, Josh. So looking like everyone's kind of settling down. It might be because of the car count right now is maybe there's a lot more room on the track, but nonetheless, this could have the making of a long green flag run.
Absolutely. There's a lot of opportunity out there for these drivers, and I'm looking right now to see just what our point scenario looks like. We pay out to the first 15, as I alluded to at the restart. We're going to pay half as many points as we did for, or almost half, not entirely half, 30 points to the winner, but still a lot less points are going to be distributed for this race. So those, oh my goodness, we got a very close call off of corner exit right there.
Blake Trawick, Brian Sabelski, all going for it. This is the battle for the 10th position. And we've seen, Josh, that low line in one just doesn't seem to have the speed necessary to make the pass. So it looks like if you want to pass somebody, you need to get to their outside. As we're taking a look, here's Brian Sabelski looking just ahead. He's got a gaggle of cars ahead of him, as looking like he's right smack in the middle of his living room right there in Denver. So it looks like he's got a nice little man cave there. Got the Formula rim, the Fanatec base. Looks like he's got his direct drive there. He is sitting pretty there.
I would, that seems like a nice situation to be in. I like that setup. That's a nice rim there. Feeling very good. Nice and relaxed.
He's got a lot of faith in that microphone to pick up his voice. I have pretty much the same one, and I have to have mine right by my face to pick up anything. So he must have figured something out that I don't. I got to call him and see what his settings are.
Yeah, you and me both. We all have that same microphone, so.
The old Blue Yeti. No sponsorship, by the way.
None whatsoever. You can pay us if you want to, Blue.
We would definitely appreciate that. Right behind Sabelski, though. Bryce Saucier, John Poole, Matthew Brewer, all these guys, there was nearly contact through turn 3. And right now, Matthew Brewer, I mentioned he's our biggest mover of the race. He has gained a spot. He is plus 19 right now after sitting in 12th. So he's been very fast to start this race, Josh. So he's sizing up Brian Sabelski, looking to make a run down the back straightaway. This would be position number 20 if he can get it. But good run for Matthew so far, cutting his way up through the field.
Yeah, working his way through the field. Matthew's going to continue to focus on moving forward where he can. That's Brian Sabelski Machine's P11, and that's plenty of points on the table right now. I mean, it doesn't feel like much, but in a situation where it can be so difficult to just make it to the end of the race as we've seen so far, being able to survive to the end is going to be important. But being able to get ahead of other cars will also be a very nice, comforting situation because you don't have to worry about someone wrecking in front of you.
Absolutely. So we're still on board with Matt here. Let's go for a little bit of an extended ride with him, see what kind of inputs he's putting in there, and we'll see just what he's doing to manipulate the air. As he gets a little bit of dirty air on the front wing of that car, downshifts down to 6th. You'll see these guys hovering around 6th and 7th gear, maybe trying to get into 8th on the front stretch, but we'll see just as how he uses the draft here to his advantage. We'll see how fast this car can get. .248 miles per hour for Matthew Brewer going into turn 1, and it almost seems, Josh, that this car could do a lot more, and it definitely can.
Yeah, if we had a longer straightaway, I think we could easily break that 250 mile per hour barrier that seems so elusive on so many cars. But yeah, no, these cars are very, very quick. One of the longest straightaways in the entire oval racing circuit here at Pocono, but still not quite enough room. I mean, maybe if we had the right conditions, fresh tires, and a good tailwind, we could break 250.
Where's Travis Brown? We need to kind of make these things a thing for Mooncar one of these days. Get it done. But these guys right now are the main action right now up front, not really missing anything. The usual suspects, Goke, Akabuizi, and Hawkin, driving away from Robert Lowry, so nothing missing there. Going back a little further here, look, I can't believe Brewer just kind of weaving in and out back here, but we're looking in through turn number 3, and these guys put on a great show. When these guys get side by side, They can give it a really good show racing. You can slipstream, you can maybe slide job people, kind of cross people over, and it does put on a good race. I say this too much, Josh, though, with the right crowd. As looking back to the front, Jonathan Goke looking for the lead once again.
Jonathan Go going to make an easy decision going to the inside into the tunnel turn. That's such an incredible move. He's able to pull it off, and he is. But Hamilton is going to easily be able to get a good draft here. Potentially going to be able to throw his name back onto the top of the pylon with a good run off of turn number 3. Hard to tell the gap right here, but it's not quite what he needed to get into turn number 1 to make a pass. So he's going to stay in line behind the Goke machine.
Now, we got to start talking about when pit stops are going to potentially happen, because we're on lap 20 right now of this run. That's actually a pretty long time here at Pocono. So we got to see just when these cars are going to be able to pit on the long run. And good job by Ben Easterday, Mooncar admin Ben Easterday, responding to my comment saying we would have no cars left in Mooncar if these ran. And I heavily agree, Ben. So you were definitely not wrong, but it would put on a heck of a show. These guys are putting on a good show right now racing, and I can't imagine these things going 5, 6, 7, 8 wide going into one. That would be something to watch. I would not participate in that race, but that's what it's all about. It's the leaders coming up to some lap traffic right here. Jack Painter right there. We were talking about him earlier. Paul Mikolajczyk gets lapped again. They give way to the leaders, and they make their way by with no issue.
A little bit of lap traffic, not causing a problem to these leaders. They're going to be a little bit slow. Paul Mikolajczyk is just going to try to stay out of the way, but a lot of usual names up at front right now. But like you said, pit stops. Ooh, we got a little bit of a darting session to get around that lapped car. That is the 28 of Kelly Bajent. Going to make it work. And not going to be a factor, not going to shuffle up the order here, but it looks spectacular down the front.
It definitely does. So, I mean, it's definitely not for the faint of heart in this. You're still going and almost 250 miles per hour going into turn 1. I can't imagine in real life these things, what they would be like going into turn number 1. So just a quick update here is we have Austin Knight and Cole Freilich going at it again in turn 2 coming out of here. So Freilich is going to be able to get the spot. So move Cole into 7th, Knight back to 8th. But a bit of an update on, I believe I was going to say Sahaj Padiyar still on pit road after obtaining the meatball flag after brushing the wall in turn number 2. So still on pit road, been on pit road for the last 8 minutes, and looking like that'll be an early end to his race as well in that 89. Such a tough break. Was running in the top 5 all race until some unfortunate dirty air did that car in.
That's unfortunate. You don't ever want to see any sort of issues, and it appears that Sahaj is back out on track. Right as you mentioned it, he's getting his machine back up to speed. He's going to join back on track. It looks like he's going to be about 12 laps down, but back out on track. And you know what? Kudos. That's a can-do attitude. That's what you need to be doing here. You got to go out there. You know that there's probably going to be more incidents, and you're only in 20th. You need 5 more cars to DNF or just be a lot slower than you in order to be able to make up points on them. So we'll see if he's able to make that happen. His car is heavily wounded, though, very much off the pace going into turn number 1. His peak speed's only going to be about 238, 239. It's about 10 miles per hour off the pace.
Well, these new damage model cars, if you fix them, we've seen in most of the oval cars, they might be okay. They'll be competitive, but not fully up to speed. So we'll see what Sahaj's car can do. As meanwhile, all of these cars back here, they are just absolutely going at it. Let's see, we got Blake Trawick at the head of this, Darren Ingram right behind, Matthew Brewer, Bryce Saucier, Brian Sabelski. All these guys back here are just going at it. This is all behind the 9th place position of Blake Trawick. So we got racing all over this track here, Josh. You just got to know where to find it.
Yeah, it's in clumps, that's for sure. The draft is such a powerful tool, especially on the cars that are still clean. They all kind of share the similar amount of power, so that draft is going to be what makes the difference for them. So you'll see racing, there'll be groups, nothing. Groups, nothing. All that will be around the pack, and you'll see them sticking together, continuing to change out positions as they get those draft runs going into the corners.
Can't get over the sounds of these cars, man. These things just remind you so much of those early 2000s F1 cars that I think iRacing was shooting for to have that sound, and they pretty much nailed it with this car. So car sounds good and the cockpit sounds good when the engine's going by, and they produce great racing. So kudos to iRacing on the development of this car, and it definitely is one of the ones that you want to use for big races like this. It's got a big skill gap in it, a lot of speed, a lot of horsepower, very technical to drive, and you'll see the best of the best get to the front here. As speaking of the front, we got Robert Lowry nearly running into the back of Brandon Hawkins there. That was for third, and that had to have gotten Brandon Hawkins' heart rate going a little bit faster after that.
Yeah, that was way too close for comfort. Just a misjudgment. Robert missing the braking zone just a little bit later almost causes Brandon Hawkins to once again have another DNF on the season. And nothing Brandon did wrong there. He was just continuing to maintain his position. But that's what will happen when you have this close quarters racing on a track like this, where speeds are such a high delta between your top speed and your lowest end corner speed.
So crisis averted for the most part there for Hawken and Lowry. So you got to think Lowry. It's so crazy. We've seen a couple of moves going into that tunnel turn have been the cause of some wrecks, and that's been, I guess, for the lack of a better term, calamity corner in this race so far. A lot of wrecks going into and out of turn 2. So I don't know what that's the main passing zone here or what, but that definitely just goes to show you got to pick your spots in this car. If you try to just go for it and you're even off by a little bit, as we saw Robert was there, it could have been catastrophic. Luckily, he was able to get it slowed down, and both Hawken and Lowry were able to keep it going.
A little bit of single file racing through that tunnel turn here for the leaders. Not going to be able to go anywhere just super quickly. You're not going to break away. We saw that they were able to break away last week, but it required a pit cycle. So I don't think we're going to see any major breakaways in any time soon. But if there is one, it'll more than likely happen after pit stops, or when someone gets any sort of, or they get through traffic like that, it becomes a rolling chicane.
Paul Mikolajczyk, Jack Painter again going more laps down. So we'll see. Hamilton's got a good little run on Jonathan Goke, but I'm curious to know just how much fuel Hamilton's been able to save, because he's just been sitting there pretty much chilling behind Jonathan Goke. So hopefully we got some pit stops coming up very soon in this race, but we're going to go ahead and take a step aside here for just a second, working lap number 60 with just over 100 laps to go here at Pocono for the MotorRacingPrince.com FTF1 Series Pocono 400. Goke leads, Hamilton Asbuki second, Brandon Hawken third. We'll be right back to Pocono. Don't go anywhere. Back live here at the Pocono Raceway for the Pocono 400 of the MotorRacingPrince.com FTF1 Series. Green flag pit stops are underway. You saw on our picture-in-picture, Jonathan Goke, our race leader, has made his way onto pit road. And Josh, you got to think him leading all those laps are good, but at the same time, he is burning up a lot more fuel than Hamilton, Akabueze, Brandon Hawk, and Robert Lowry behind him. And Hawken and Lowry are still on the racetrack, and you got to think they might have saved enough fuel to where they can go maybe a couple more extra laps, as we see a lot of action work at their 1 and 2 now. New tires versus old.
Yeah, fuel. That's going to be the thing that holds you back the most. I was looking at some of the drivers right there. Cole Freilich said his fastest lap, 1 lap before he came down pit road, and unfortunately got a black flag, forcing him to have a 40-second hold. But it is all about that fuel strategy. We got about 31 laps on that last run for the leader of Goke. And we'll see if how long it takes for our next leaders to come down pit road, as we see a couple more takers right here. That looks like Darren Ingram and Matthew Brewer.
So the front 6 have not pit yet. So that is Hamilton, Akabueze, Brandon Hawken, Robert Lowry, Paige Morton, Austin Knight, and Bryce Saucier. Those are the front 6 that have yet to make a pit stop, and I think our leader Hamilton is coming. Brandon Hawken is coming down as well. Actually, no, scratch that.
Oh, he got a black flag! Hamilton Akabueze, black flag for speeding on pit entry.
Robert Lowry is in as well. Not seeing a black flag for Lowry. That is devastating for Hamilton right there. The US 500 winner steps on his own feet there coming into the pits, so that is going to be a 40-second hold for Hamilton, and he overshoots his stall for good measure. That is heartbreaking right there for Hamilton. Hope he'll be able to get that time back, but 40 seconds in a race, if this thing stays green, going to be so difficult to overcome, as here comes new race leader Brandon Hawken will make his way into pit lane.
We got a slow car on track right now. Darren Ingram, I think he couldn't get his pit road speed limiter to turn off. He was stuck on pit exit going 55 on the dot, which happens to be the pit road speed here.
So it looks like Darren is able to get that thing going. I'd say he's doing 220 going into 3, so he's fine. So Hawkins still the race leader. So right now, Bryce Saucier is coming in. He's in second. Robert Lowry would come around. It looks like Robert Lowry is going to come out with the lead here if Hawkins can kind of get that thing up to speed. But right now, Robert Lowry, it looked like he's going to cycle out to the lead of the 96. So move Lowry up to the top spot.
Yep, he's going to easily go and claim that lead position right now. But there's a lot to be wondered, especially in that 99 car camp. Don't mix that up with the Brandon Hawkins 99. Talking about Hamilton Akabueze. Just wondering, was it worth that extra? Oh, I don't know, extra 4 miles per hour on pit entry. Easy mistakes, and mistakes win or lose races really easily, especially on pit lane.
Trying to gain as much time as you possibly can on green flag pit stops. You can make up so much time on pit entry if you don't speed, but you could also lose a heck of a lot more of it if you do speed. We saw right there. And Jonathan Goke, we mentioned he was the first one of the leaders to pit. He's currently working lap 5 of his stint right now, but he's got no one around him to draft off of. He's probably going to reel in the car ahead of him. That's Paul Mikolajczyk again going a lap down. There he goes. But right now, Josh, he's got about a 2.5 second gap to him and Brandon Hawken. That is his next battle for position. So definitely a risky call there, trying to lead all those laps and burn all that fuel off. He's got a lot of catching up to do, as Hawken and Lowry are pretty much in the draft with each other.
Yeah, there is so much just left for him to figure out. We're going to see Lowry Hawken finally get connected back together. It's those green flag pit cycles are going to be what makes the ability for them to have this close racing. You look at that vertical ticker, and that is not indicative of a normal oval race to have 11 cars on the lead lap and that much spacing. It just feels very weird, especially with such a draft-heavy track of this nature. And unfortunately, oh man, so many people bitten by speeding there. Cole Freilich, Hamilton Akabueze, as we already have I've heard.
So out of the 33 cars that have started this race, we are down to 20 that are still on the racetrack. So almost half the field has been taken out by either wrecks, penalties, or anything else. So that is definitely not how you want to go. Cole Freilich, again, we're being told that he sped again, coming back in to serve his initial speeding penalty. So he has decided to pack it up and call it a night. So that is yet another retiree from the Pocono 400. So this race has definitely been through its paces. It was chaotic at first. If you're just joining us, this race was marred by early caution flags, penalties, and just overall just absolute carnage at the start of this thing. So everything has since calmed down. Of course, I think a lot of that has to do with the car count that we got right now. But one car that we've seen has been getting his way through this field is the car just ahead of the guy on our screen, Brian Sabelski. That's Matthew Brewer. He's our biggest mover of the race so far. Started back in 31st. He's found his way up into 9th. That is a plus 22 difference from the starting spot. So good on Matt for getting that car up there. Not a scratch on it. We'll see what he can do to kind of get this thing finished and hopefully get himself a good top 5 finish. But Josh, definitely not easy to do in these cars, but Matthew has been methodically making his way up through here.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job. Exactly what he needs to do in order to get a great result. We've been watching him as he slowly worked his way through the field. Now he's currently out ahead of Brian Sabelski. We saw so many amazing moves just to get and avoid wrecks by some of these drivers. And Matthew doesn't have anyone out in front, so it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to break away from the number 10 that's in 10th of Brian Sabelski. So we see some battling here for the lead, and oh, look at that, that's Goat.
Yeah, so Goak is trying to reel these guys in. He's got the interval from him to Brandon Hawken to just under 2 seconds right now. So if he can kind of get to the draft here of these guys, Zach Mitchell is the final car in this group with the leaders. He is not on the lead lap. He is in 15th, 1 lap down. But if Goat can get a sniff of that draft from the 54 car, he's going to be in business with our leaders up here. So they're working right now through some lap traffic. Darren Ingram is next on the list here. But Hawken, Lowry, and Hamilton Akabueze right now. Again, if you're just joining us, Hamilton, the winner of the US 500 last week, was leading a lot in the start of this race, but he unfortunately sped on pit road, had to serve a 40-second penalty, and he is currently being shown in the 12th position, the first car a lap down, as Lowry almost got the wall off of turn number 2. That allowed Hawken to get to his bumper, but Hawken going to stay right behind him, and the lap car of Darren Ingram going to get out of the way, but that's only going to help out Jonathan Goak to try to catch these guys. He's got it down to about just under a second and a half now.
Yeah, he's getting really close to sniffing that draft. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the fact that because he's been out of that draft, it might as well be him trying to lead a pack. It's going to burn up so much more fuel than before, and it's continuing to make his offsetting pitch strategy even worse. And we saw just how much worse it was for him by coming in and pitting early.
The good news is for Goak, the less fuel you have, the lighter your car is. But also the bad news for Goak, the less fuel you have, than everybody else. So he pit 3 laps earlier than the front 2 in Brandon Hawken and Robert Lowry. So we're going to see if this thing stays green, just how much ground he might lose getting back into the pit lane. As we see these guys behind our leaders, Hamilton Akabueze trying to just stay with these guys, trying to maybe get his lap back the hard way. Darren Ingram not going to let him do it, and you got to be frustrated if you're Hamilton right there. You're trying to catch up to the leaders, Darren not letting him have it, and he's got a long way to go to get his lap back, but he can't really just sit there and dwell on it. He's got to keep his eyes on the prize here for this one, Josh. Still a good long way to go. He's not out of this thing by far.
No, one of his best chances of being able to come back up here and compete for a win is by, we got a little bit of contact with the outside wall. No one got hurt there, I believe. But it is to be a thorn, to kind of get the temperature turned up in this pack and make them push it as we see, oh, no, it's like, was that Hamilton? He got into that out? No, there's someone who sounds like they're either hitting the ground or hitting the wall. I'm not sure if someone has a low tire or something.
Look at who got by these guys. Jonathan Goak, P3 now, and he is well within the draft of the leaders. We saw him be the most aggressive car on the racetrack at the start of this run, and you can bet that when he gets up to Robert Lowry and Brandon Hawken, he's going to want to get back to that lead. But the more he does that, of course, the more fuel he's going to burn off. And if this thing stays green, Josh, he's just going to separate himself more and more with his lack of fuel mileage compared to our leaders.
And don't let this lead battle be super misleading to yourself right now. These guys, while Gok is back up there and he's going to start participating in it, directly behind him, you have the Ingram and the Akamboise machine who are racing for the lucky dog to get back into this lead battle. Specifically, Hamilton, he's really going to want to get back up there.
You see Jonathan Gok, he's sitting there just letting out a sigh there as he's side by side with Robert Lowry, noted for his wearing a Vikings jersey in every race that we're in here on FTF.
Whoa!
Big
Darren
Vikings
Ingram
fan.
into the inside wall off of corner exit. That's going to settle that lucky dog decision real quickly. I'm so sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, settles that lucky dog decision super duper quickly.
No caution. We stay green here at Pocono, so Darren definitely maybe running that car a little too hard. Hamilton got around him off of turn number 3, and then there was just a bobble with Darren Ingram, and that sent that car into the wall. So the 21, he should have a meatball flag, and he doesn't somehow. But damage might be terminal on that 21 car. He's going to have to bring it back in for some service for sure. Let's get a replay as we'll see. Here goes Hamilton right to the inside here into turn number 3. He's going to make the pass, and I don't know.
It just got tight. I think he took the air off the front arrow there.
I don't know. That's a tough call there. I'd like to see an onboard if we can get one, Zach, if that's not too much of a problem, of an issue. There we go. So he kind of just straightened the car out right there, not anticipating the tight. And I agree, Josh, the dirty air just kind of took the front end of that car and just sent it straight into the wall. So that is a tough break for Darren. But that is what Hamilton's going to have to do. He's not out of it yet. He might still have the draft of Robert Lowry. He definitely does. So Hamilton not out of this thing yet. He's got to catch up to these guys and pass them to get his lap back and hope for a caution.
Yeah, I mean, that was almost the caution that he wanted. Unfortunately for him, Darren is a good driver. Kept it going forward. Didn't allow the vehicle to wreck or come up onto the racing surface. I mean, it is pretty darn difficult to get completely blocking the front stretch. We saw it one time earlier today, but if it gets sent to that inside, I feel like Ben's going to probably give him every opportunity to get the car out of the way because it's so far out of the way. Now, I guess back to Gok. How's his Vikings been doing in the draft there, Sean?
I don't know. I mean, I would love for our draft expert, Kevin McAdams, to weigh in on this. I know he's listening to us. So, Kevin, what has been your opinion of everything that's happened in the NFL draft right now?
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I haven't been watching today's draft.
That's a shame.
I know Jordan Worth's Tennessee Titans. Someone clips the outside wall of turn 3. I think that was Lowry.
That was.
P3 currently.
That's allowed Hamilton to kind of catch up to these guys and hold station there. So Robert's able to keep it going. No meatball flag for him. But did the Titans finally draft a quarterback? Is that what I was seeing?
Well, they drafted Malik Willis last year. It doesn't look like he's working out. Tannehill obviously isn't the future. So they went with Levis, and we'll see how that goes. But speaking of trying to right a ship and get things on the right track, this race did not get to a good start, but it's good to see, despite about half the guys out there less than 100%, we have gone about 60 laps green flag. And I think, watching Jonathan Gok, I saw he pitted early, and I was looking at lap times, kind of just chilling here, keeping an eye on everything. And the longer you run, the faster you go. It's almost like Formula One, where the tires don't really play that much of a factor as far as speed. I think it's more or less the fuel load gets really low. So I think right now he's got the advantage over Hawken in terms of raw speed, just because he's a little bit lighter. As Lowry almost hits the wall again. Here comes Hamilton looking low. Trying to get ever closer to getting his lap back, but I think he's in a position right now. He's going to be a little bit quicker than these guys, but we'll have to just wait and find out if he'll be short in terms of the cycle for fuel and if he can make that up.
God forbid this thing were to go green the whole way. Jake Poulin's not happy with us. He says, "Oh my God, I can't believe you guys are talking about the draft again. We have literally not talked about it at all before that."
We're talking about the draft of the race.
Yeah, the draft of the race. That's correct. Appreciate everybody being here, by the way. Glad to see you're spending your Friday night with us, taking in the FTF1 MonoRacingPrince.com FTF1 Series Pocono 400. Seen a lot of interesting stuff tonight, a lot of crashing, a lot of good racing, a lot of strategy being played out. And right now, the main focus for us right now, Josh, I believe, is Hamilton as Akabueze's journey to get back to the lead lap. He is sitting right now in 11th. He's 2 cars away from getting back on the lead lap. He's got slightly fresher tires than our leader, but right now this has definitely been a journey for him for sure. He's still got a little ways to go, but how aggressive can he be right now to try to get up here? He's got these guys ahead of him. One false move and he's going to be stuck side by side with somebody. He might lose a lot of ground and too much to make up potentially.
He can push as much as he wants to, but I don't know if that's the move. Honestly, if a caution comes out, his best move would be just either being the lucky dog or being on the lead lap. And being out in front does nothing to help his cause. It burns more fuel. It makes it basically it doesn't help his scenario. I think as long as he's in lucky dog position, the best he can do is hope for a caution and just get a lucky dog. Get back into the draft, into the competitive draft, racing for positions, because he knows he's not going to be able to break the draft with these lead cars in front of him.
Kevin, what would you do if you were in Hamilton's shoes here? Are you trying to just play it safe and get the caution there, or are we just trying to get our lap back the hard way and guarantee ourselves we don't have to go to the back in case of a caution scenario?
Well, right now I'm trying to just double check and see if we even have lucky dogs in this series. I'm reading the rules right now and I'm trying to find it, but it really just depends on what his agenda is. If he's looking to outlast these guys on the track, kind of cycle out, get back on the lead lap for a handful of laps, and then a caution comes out, then saving fuel is the way to go. If there is no lucky dog, which it wouldn't make any sense at this point if he's doing this, because I think this is the right move. Save fuel. Don't put yourself in a bad spot. He's already seen Lowry hit the wall almost 2 or 3 times as he's tried to make his way through this top 3. He's already raced with these guys pretty much the entire event, so he knows what to expect. So why not just ride around, hope for the best? Currently, craziest thing is he's in 11th. Don't want to risk retiring early. You're in a good spot. If the caution does come out, just ride around until you get that lucky caution. I'm sure he's kicking himself, just trying to push that little bit too far to get through the pits. I think he was in a really good spot to finish at least in the top 5, but he's just gonna have to play the waiting game from here until we get a caution.
We got confirmation from Ben Easterday Race Control. There are lucky dogs in this race. Those of you just joining us, myself included, now know that there are lucky dogs. So I think you're right, Kevin. Hamilton just kind of trying to stay with these guys, not push it too hard, kind of save some fuel here. Maybe just save enough to where we get to the next round of green flag pit stops. He can stay out maybe a lap or 2 more than these guys in front. And who knows, get himself back on the lead lap, catch a caution. And we saw the same exact thing with the in the Gen 4 Coke 600, the very last green flag round. Some lucky guy just stayed out as long as he possibly could and got to the lead. And so don't really know who that is, but he probably stinks at this game. But nonetheless, Hamilton might catch himself in that same spot. Stay out a lap or 2 more, kind of catch some track position and get a caution, and he's right back in it. So you never know how stuff like this could play out. And might be kicking himself early on for that mistake, but it might be a blessing in disguise, so to speak, with this strategy he's trying to pull now.
Now, Sean, I'm looking at our vertical ticker right now, and you'll see Sahaj Padhar. He's up to 17th. That's already 3 spots from where he was originally at when I said he needed to make up 5 spots just to get up there. And to see Isaac Johnson got a speeding penalty. So that's going to continue to make that opportunity even more likely. Isaac Johnson is 5 laps ahead of him, but as long as he can continue to go down and just slowly, methodically stay in the figure, and Isaac Johnson just quit. So there's another spot. Now he's
Yep.
one spot out.
That's another spot. As the famous phrase goes, that's a spot with everything. So not out of it, not over till it's over. Sahaj has plenty of time to try to get back in this. As they work by the lap car, Callie Bagent will go another lap down. That'll put her, I believe that is lap down 17 or 16 right now, I should say, for Callie in P18 right now. But while there's a little bit of a lull in the action, we'll go ahead and take another quick little break here. So we'll step aside, go grab yourself some snacks, stretch out a little bit for the final run here to the finish here in the MotorRacingPrince.com FTF1 Series Pocono 400 live here on FTF. Brandon Hawkins still leads. Goke second, Lowry third. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to Pocono. Back live here at Pocono just in time. We got some green flag pit stops getting set to happen, and Jonathan Goke from P2 getting word that he is peeling off a pit road at this time. Here he comes, bringing that 94 car down to pit road, locking all four wheels up, getting as much as he can on a pit road, getting down to that 55 mile per hour speed limit. So this is what we were talking about here, Josh. You know, Goke pitted 3 laps earlier than Brandon Hawkins and Robert Lowry, as we have more cars coming down to pit lane right now, too. John Poole III still down there. Goke, as we mentioned, Tommy Bordeaux coming on in. So right now, we're going to see how this strategy plays out for Goke and just how much longer Hawkins and Lowry can go out, because Hawkins has been leading this for a while, so I wonder what his fuel mileage is right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very curious to see how long he can stay out in front of this field and not have to come down pit stops. As obviously we saw Goke, he came down about 3 laps prior after leading almost the entire time out in front. So we'll see what Hawkins' strategy is here. As we see Goke, he's going to slide up in that car right behind him. That's Hawkins.
There it is.
With a great run of steam here, is going to make his way easily to the inside and pass him, putting him a lap down.
And Goke's tires need a little bit of time to heat up, so he's got Hawkins going by. Lowry is going to be next on the list here. Here comes Hamilton. And this will be a pass for position for Hamilton, believe it or not, if he can get around Goke. It looks like Goke is going to have the high lane and the run off the corner. Almost hits the wall there. But this might hold them up a little bit if they decide to stay side by side here. But Kevin, what do you think of the Goke strategy call right now? So 3 laps earlier, we're going to see just how long the 2 leaders can go out. So has he done himself any favors with this call?
I think his biggest contribution right now to his strategy is that he's in the draft with the rest of the pack. You know, Hamilton's here, Lowry's in here, Hawkins going to be pulling this whole entire line essentially. But you know, the good thing is, I think in his case, is it looks like it's a one stop race for everybody. It really is just going to come down to the final stop as Hawkin peels down. He's going to come in. That'll relinquish the lead to Robert Lowry. Hawkin obviously had to pretty much lead this pack, not by really his choice. Everyone kind of chilled behind him, but I think this will end up being a case of how much fuel do you need for the final stop. There really is no green-white checkers in this series, so race is 160 laps, 400 miles, no matter what. So you know what to expect as far as distance. So I think if you don't worry about that, you're good to go. You just figure out how much you need, and you figure it out from there.
And we mentioned that Matthew Brewer was having such a good run, the biggest move of the race so far. Unfortunately, the recipient of a black flag, too fast entering pit road on this round of pit stops. So that'll bring Matthew back down to the 12th position, 2 laps down. So tough break for Matthew Brewer. Still got a long way to go, but definitely not how you want that run to go. As our leader, Robert Lowry, currently on pit road now. So alongside second place Paige Morton. So this will probably allow Brandon Hawkin to cycle back to the lead. And Josh, he might have a little bit of a gap between he and Lowry when this is all said and done. Actually, a very good pit stop for Lowry. So it's going to be close. Here comes Hawkin. He's at the line now. Lowry just getting out of the pit lane. Is he going to be able to maintain the lead on Hawkin? It looks like he is. Robert Lowry with a great pit entry and exit, so he's going to get out ahead of Brandon Hawkin. So that might play into Hawkin's strategy now. He led that whole last part of the run. He might just draft up to Robert and kind of save some fuel here and just stick behind him. So this is what Pocono is notorious for, Kevin. Pocono, very notorious for having a lot of fuel mileage races, a lot of strategy races. A lot of these races coming down to who gets the best fuel mileage, who has the best strategy, and right now this race might be heading down that same path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm being corrected by Jake once again. I guess there is one green-white checkered. I didn't know that was added. I know the Rectangle 500 did not have one, so I was going off of memory off of that one. But yeah, that I think, when you think of these long races, especially when, the NASCAR races were 500 miles, the most important factor of that was, strategy and mileage. With this, now it's going to be the same thing. And with only 3-4 guys pretty much in contention for the win, Jonathan Goke right now 5.5 seconds back, all because he ended up pitting early. He's going to have to find a way to get back up there. And the only way he can really do that is by shaving off time either on his pit stop or finding someone in front of him to draft. And he's trying to do that right now, all the way down to the checkered
Paul Mikolajczyk was getting every ounce of slipstream off of Paul's car. So Jonathan Goke, the aforementioned Jonathan Goke, the gap to him and Brandon Hawkin right now is about 4.9 seconds. And Goke does not have anybody ahead of him to draft off of, so he's going to have to somehow get back up there on raw speed alone. And Josh, that is, I hate to say it's impossible, but with no drafting help for Jonathan, it is probably the closest thing to impossible right now.
Yeah, he is feeling awfully lonely out there. He is continuing. I honestly, guys, his move may very well be lift. Go slower and stick behind Matthew Brewer, who's almost directly behind him, just a couple of seconds back, and save gas. Because going out here being by yourself, you're not going to make up time. You're going to be slow. You're going to burn gas. You're going to sit there and you're going to continue to dig your hole deeper. I think the play for him is to back himself up. Let's get caught up by those cars behind us and just save some gas. You're not making up that much time.
Now another
perspective, real quick,
call.
Sean. Sorry.
Another. No, I'm sorry. Kevin, go ahead.
If he does that, I'm just looking at times. Matthew Brewer is about a second slower than the lead pack. Right now, about a half second because of the recent stop. I don't think that's going to work. I think Goke really is just in a bad spot because if Lowry and Hawkin, say they pit with 27 to go, well, now they, maybe take some insurance and fill it up, but he really is in a bad spot. He's going to need a lot of help. He has to basically ask for maybe some help from Hamilton, but Hamilton's not going to go back there. Hawkin's going to do what Lowry did last time and save. So he really is in a bad spot. Now the good thing is he's still got the raw pace because he is lighter on the setup. He's got a lighter car. He's about a tenth and a half faster right now a lap. The problem is by the time he gets there, he's going to be 5, 6, 7 laps behind on the fuel strategy, and he's going to have to do it all over again. Plus, he's going to have to fill it up even more than these guys.
So what I was about to say with Hamilton there too is, what do we do for Hamilton as they just passed Bryce Saucier. Now Bryce is trying to pass him again for some reason, but actually no, there is a reason. So this is the battle for the quote unquote lucky dog here. So Hamilton has to stay ahead of Bryce, which I think he might be able to do because I believe he's got a little bit fresher tires, 1 lap fresher tires than Bryce does. But Hamilton right now is in a good spot. So I guess if you were Robert Lowry, Kevin, if you're trying to stretch this out as long as you can, would you let Hamilton by and kind of save fuel off him? Because we already know he's got as good a pace as any of the leaders do.
I think it's just a matter of if that's even allowed. If Hamilton's even going to give him that opportunity, he's done pretty much everything he can right now to stay behind the leaders as Lowry clips that yellow line just a little bit in turn 1. I think this is just a matter of playing a game of chicken. Hamilton gets a run here, doesn't really use it, stays right behind the 96 of Lowry. So I think the only way Lowry can really make any moves here is to just let everyone go to the bottom and hope that he can catch back up in the draft. He's going to have to do something drastic because otherwise I think these guys are just going to stay right where they are, just stay parked right behind them, save some fuel, save some time on pit road.
Currently working at lap number 109 of the scheduled 160 lap distance of the Pocono 400. 51 laps to go. And honestly, Josh, you could have asked us about a little over an hour ago. We thought this thing would never end the way this thing started, but after the carnage has subsided, it's been green the whole way.
Yeah, we've been basically green flag racing since I believe a lap 31. So it's been green flag the entire time since then. We are on our longest green flag run of the day easily. There is no doubt about it. There's going to be no way it gets beat throughout the rest of the race. I'm also slowly just keeping track right now on Sahaj and his path to just getting a point back. Paul Mikolajczyk is super duper slow. He's about 5 seconds a lap slower than Sahaj is. And right now, as it stands, Sahaj should catch him with about 10 to 8 laps to go and pass him for the 15th position, putting Paul's position of making at least a single point out of the picture. So Paul needs to pick it up. Sahaj is going to very easily pass. I believe he's passing him here for one of those laps back. He's currently about 5 laps behind.
And speaking of passing, we have a Bass for 4th up here in the top 5. Tommy Bordeaux gets around Paige Morton. So move Tommy into 4th. So about time we have some jockeying for position up here toward the front. It's been a while before we had some overtakes. And while we got some time, we'll go ahead and do a quick little run through the field here. As they run right now, leader Robert Lowry has been up front for a long time here. So is Brandon Hawken, currently sitting in 2nd. Jonathan Goke is 3rd. Tommy Bordeaux 4th. Paige Morton 5th. Blake Trawick 6th. Austin Knight is 7th. Hamilton Akabueze is in 8th. Bryce Saucier in 9th. Brian Sabelski is in 10th. Darren Ingram 11th. Matthew Brewer in 12th. John Poole the 3rd, 13th. Zach Mitchell 14th. Paul Mikolajczyk 15th. Sahaj Padyar is in 16th. Callie Bagent is in 17th. Isaac Johnson 18th. Cole Freilich 19th. Jack Painter 20th. Jake Poulin 21st. Blake Reynolds 22nd. Nate Stewart 23rd. Cody Ware 24th. Hunter Smith 25th. Seth Egger 26th. Justin Malillo 27th. Bill Cooley II 28th. Corey Verbnick in 29th, or Vervinkt, I should say. We mispronounced that whole last name the whole time, and I'm trying to get it right. I'm sorry, Corey. As we have some more action heading into the pits right now, that is Zach Mitchell going down into the pits, and it looks like driving through a lot of stalls. Could this be a retirement, or are we pulling into the stall now? He is in his stall, so maybe an unscheduled stop here. We will see. But as we go back down the rest of the orders, Ryan Pendicio 30th, Ryan Naraki 31st, Spencer Ray 32nd, and rounding out the field is David Cabrera in 33rd position. So as they stand right now, 16 cars are on the racetrack right now. And Josh, this is it's looking more and more like this is going to be a strategy race to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. 110% a strategy race there. Zach Mitchell you did see him lose it onto pit entry. He got I believe, a speeding penalty on pit entry. And then on top of that, he also got a meatball flag. So that's going to self-sort itself. Just a mistake that's going to end his race and potentially move both Paul and Sahaj back into the points position, as we'll see a replay here. See what happens.
Is there some help? There
Oh,
was.
goodness gracious. That's unfortunate. Sends him right into the pit road, and that left rear and right or left front is just
That was almost a fantastic save.
It really was. So
Yeah.
that is a tough break right there. I think I'm trying to figure out who that car he had contact with. Was that Brian Sabelski? Can anybody tell with that? I think that was might have been the 10 car.
Yeah, I think that might have been. Let me go back and confirm that.
I think you're right. It was John Poole the third. Currently 5 laps down in 13th position. Just got tight underneath Mitchell, and
Oh, man.
lucky they didn't bring out a caution for him.
They both kept it going.
Avoids a big penalty.
Yeah, if he could have potentially avoided getting that meatball, I think that speeding penalty on pit entrance should have been cleared either way, because he wasn't intending to go down there. That was a wreck that was not intending to happen. So that's unfortunate. As we are hearing word right now that it looks like Paul Mikulijek is just trying to stay out of the way. He is aggressively slowing down in some very weird places, and I'm not sure as Zach Mitchell has retired his car. I'm not sure if he's just trying to stay out of harm's way or what his plan is here.
We could wake up Ben Easterday from hibernation. Ben, is there a minimum speed rule for this league that we should be aware of, or is Paul okay to keep doing what he's doing?
Not that I know of, but I'll go ahead and look a bit closer at what he's doing. Especially if you're a lap car, you want to be predictable. So
and he's been
if you're slowing
predictable, I
down
would
in
say.
weird places, that makes it very hard to predict where you're going to be. So lead lappers can pass you.
For the most part, he's done a good job of being aware of where everybody is and been out of their way. So I mean, it might be a little scary, but I don't think he's impeded anybody. So we'll see what Paul is going to be doing here as this race goes on. Just looking to stay out of the way, but right now working 43 circuits remaining. Now 42 around the Pocono Raceway, and Robert Lowry still your leader here in the Pocono 400 here with the MotorRacingPrince.com FTF1 Series on FTF. And like I said, Josh, if you would have told us a little while ago at the start of this race that we would see some of the longest green flag runs, not only in this series' history, but in this channel's history, I'd have called you crazy.
Well, I think you and I would have both called me crazy. You could have told me a million ways we see Sahaj. It's right here, actually, right there. He is going to be passing the 54 of Zach Mitchell, who has retired, therefore putting himself into the points and moving him up to 15. So that is a good deal for Sahaj. He's going to go ahead and get back into the points and be happy. We'll see that update on timing and scoring as he goes by start-finish line next time by.
Perseverance for Sahaj. So good job by him, just kind of staying in and getting something out of this race. So definitely, if you wreck out of a race, stay in it. You never know what can happen. And Sahaj, as it stands right now, is going to get him some points. And this thing is far from over. So we'll see just what happens and what unfolds in this last part of the run. One more pit stop coming here, Kevin. And when do you think these guys are going to make it? From what you've been seeing?
Looks like last time by, it was about 33 to 36 laps. So, pit cycle will be open here any minute. But, speaking of perseverance, Jonathan Gogue, we wrote him off about 20 laps ago. He has made his way back underneath the second from our leader in Lowry. So, we're going to have to see if he loses that gap again and more, because not only is he going to have to pit early, as we've mentioned before, but he's probably going to have to put more fuel in it. So we'll find out here when he has to come in. Looking at his last lap, he pitted it was around lap 97. So you do the math, he'll probably come in around lap 130. So, maybe 30 laps to go at the latest, maybe a little bit earlier if he wants to maybe shorten the stop a little bit, maybe take advantage of the fresh tires if there is any advantage. But we'll just have to wait and find out. I think right now, if you're Goke, you're hoping that Hawken and Lowry kind of fight for position for about 25 laps and you can get back up there and fight. But we'll just have to wait and see. Is he still aggressive? Still super aggressive.
A massive run going into turn 1 for Goke. He's going to overtake Hamilton. Again, that's not for position. Hamilton is a lap down. So not surprised that Hamilton lets him go. But Josh, if you're Goke, do you want to get the lead here? I mean, we already know that he's way short on fuel than the leaders. I mean, if he takes the lead, I guess he's answering our question for us. That's only going to hinder him more on fuel mileage.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, do you want to take the lead? The racer in you says yes, absolutely. But the crew chief in me says, heck no. Stay behind. Save gas. Lift. Do whatever you can. You stay in a higher gear. Don't upshift or downshift as much as you can. But he is going to be a lights out quicker with the lighter fuel tank. We see some of our fastest laps in Formula One in real life when they have so little fuel in the tank at the end of the race. That's why almost very frequently you'll see the fastest lap occur at the end of a race in real life. Same situation here. The lighter the tank, the faster the car. I don't really see any. Oh, wow. As we saw, it looked like Lowry almost caught the outside wall. I don't know. I don't know what the advantage is here.
245 miles per hour going into turn number 1 for Jonathan Goke as the leader. So, as Josh mentioned, that car being 3 laps of fuel lighter, he does have a speed advantage over everybody. And I think Robert Lowry has realized that. He's kind of slipped in behind Goke to maybe kind of save some fuel on his own. He's still got Brandon Hawken to deal with right behind him. And Tommy Bordeaux, not really within the same area code as these guys. He's about 20 seconds behind the top 3. So if this stays green right now, the battle for the win is going to be between Goke, Lowry, and Hawken. So definitely going to be interesting to see which strategy plays out. But right now, Kevin, if I'm Goke, I know that the strategy I'm on, I have to pit earlier than these guys. And it's going to be, really important for me to get a great entry and exit to my pit stall because I need to make up or save as much time as I possibly can. And if I have one small mistake, that's the end of this race. We've seen so many speeding penalties, but we've seen so much time being lost on pit entry as well. He has to nail this next pit stop in order to have a chance.
Yeah, he's going to have to really be on that balance beam of, aggression versus, preservation of the rest of his race. He's fought this far, this long to be in contention for a win. We've already seen what happened with Hamilton. He's up here in this lead draft. He'd be contending for a win if he didn't have a 40-second penalty for speeding himself. So, I think in his case right now, he's got to do everything he can to just go as fast as possible. Hope for some luck. Maybe these guys screw up on the entrance of pit road, something, because I do think that they will short fuel it. Now, I'm not 100% sure how much time advantage that's going to be as Lowry real tight off of turn 3. And if you're Jonathan Goke, that's exactly what you wanted. Just get a little bit more space between yourself and the top 2 behind you. 33 laps to go. So if he's pitting, I'd say within the next 3 to 5 laps at the latest, Jonathan Goke coming in.
Anything to even the playing field that much. That was almost disastrous for Robert Lowry. Now, he's got to be aware that his tires are older. He's been leading a lot. And it's a lot different, of course, as we know, in the wake of a car as compared to being by yourself. And Josh, he's feeling that right now. It was a close call off of 3, but it looks like he's got it down pat again.
Yeah, it gets so tight when you lose that front arrow on that front nose. Those tires just don't have the same level of mechanical grip that they would when you don't have aero grip helping him. So there is certainly, as he almost does the same darn thing off of turn exit there, number 1 again. Now, do you feel like Bryce Saucier is going to throw a little bit of a shoehorn into this whole situation because he's racing for a lucky dog position against against Akabuezi, could he go up there and just try and start dashing around with Hamilton?
I mean, at this point of the race, I think he has to. I mean, in order for him to be in it. So Hamilton's had a choice to make. He's had the choice to stay with the leaders here and just kind of ride for a bit, or maybe run the risk of this happening and maybe being in contention to lose the lucky dog with an over-aggressive lap car that's racing him too. So really a tough call for Hamilton. I think he's going to be fine, though. So if he were to catch a caution, he'd be right in the right spot. But the problem is, Kevin, he would have to make his way up through the field. And we've already seen it's hard enough to pass here under green. And you already know if there's a caution, it's going to breed so many more wrecks at the end of this thing.
Oh, absolutely. And, once again, is it worth it? Is it worth it for you to do that? I think if you're Bryce, you got to do everything you can. If you're Hamilton, time is running out. You got to do everything you can to get. I think eventually we're going to see a situation where we're going to see Hamilton, as Jonathan Goke is going to be coming in with 29 laps to go this time by. I think what we'll see is these guys will end up setting the pace and really start clicking off some fast laps. Not necessarily fighting for the lucky dog, but fighting to stay on the tail end lead lap. Here comes Jonathan Goke.
All right, it's the money
only
stop
one that
for
peels
Goke.
off.
The money stop for Goke. He has to nail it.
Not bad.
It looks like he got down there, slowed down. No black flags from what I can see for Goke. So a clean pit entry for Jonathan Goke. Now he has to execute the stop and the exit there. So many precious seconds can be lost by just the slightest mistake on pit road. So it looks like Goke executing it fairly well so far. And we'll see if anybody plays the same strategy just to be potentially on the same speed. We saw how fast Goke is with that lower fuel load. If he can make it to the end, he's definitely going to be a tough one to get by with that speed advantage. So we'll see if anybody follows him. But Josh, if I'm Brandon Hawken or Robert Lowry, I'm sticking to what's gotten me to this point so far.
There's nothing to change. I mean, Goke has pretty much set his grave almost. I mean, he could get a caution that'll save his whole strategy here. But we'll see just after this whole cycle kind of completes what it's going to look like for the whole Goke camp.
Jonathan Goke came in, Tommy Bordeaux came in, Blake Trawick was in, Brian Sabelski came in, Paul Mikolajczyk just recently came in. He's on his 6th lap of his stint. So right now, it's going to be between the leaders here, the top 3, Hawken, Lowry, and Goke to settle this thing. So Paige Morton, right now, not currently in contention right now. She's currently sitting in 4th. She's just entering turn 3, about 20 seconds behind the leaders right now. So definitely, as our buddy Travis likes to call it, it's a 3-horse pony show at the dog races as it stands right now in the Pocono 400. So we're going to see when our front 2 peel off of pit road, and it's going to be they're under just as much pressure too here, Josh. They have to execute on pit road just as much as Goke did.
Yeah, it's going to be a high pressure situation. We'll see when they're going to bring their cars down onto pit road. No takers that time by, but it is getting really nuts. Oh, Robert Lowry getting so close behind the Goke machine. That could easily result in a major issue. Oh, Goke gets really...
Look how much slower he is. So much slower because of the heavy fuel load. And Goke says his rear wing is broken.
And then Lowry is he might have an issue with his front wing. Cold tires is Goke's excuse for why he's slower, but I mean, the car's also super heavy.
Oh, meatball front I was seeing for Jonathan Goke, so he's going to have to deal with that damage as here comes Robert Lowry from the 2nd position on the pit lane. So we got to wonder about the extent of the damage on that car. Hopefully we can find out if any there is and just how much. But we were talking about it earlier, Josh. Brandon Hawken looked like he was kind of just sitting there, just hanging out up at the front of the field, just trying to keep his nose clean, not race anybody very hard. And it looks like it's paying off for him so far.
Yeah, he is definitely in a very good situation. Right now, we will see him just easily being out there by himself, hanging out, not really much going on. Both of his closest competitors have already gone down pit road. And I'm actually taking a look right now of what happened. It looks like Goke had a pit stop time on pit road of 37.1, whereas Lowry spent 40.1 seconds on pit road. So it's about 3 seconds that Goke made up on Lowry. So that's a pretty good pit stop. We'll see how that ends up comparing to Hawkin. Now, it is important to note that that Lowry's pit stop time was about 14.7, which is about 4.5 seconds longer than a regular pit stop here.
Interesting call here, too. I'm looking at our data here as Hawkin will bring his car down to pit lane now from the lead. Goke's pit stop was 9.5 seconds. So does that maybe constitute a fuel-only stop, Kevin, or is 4 tires enough to be changed in that amount of time?
Well, he said his tires were cold, and I know in the other open wheel car, they can change tires in 5, 6, 7 seconds. F1 car much faster than that. So I imagine he was a little bit aggressive on the fuel. Maybe Lowry was not. I don't know. I really wish I could figure that out. I think another factor of Lowry's was he obviously slowed up a pretty considerable amount for that contact, and maybe had a little bit of damage to fix. I'm not sure.
I think
But
he had a front wing replacement. I think that's why
that's
stopped.
very possible that could be the difference. But I think right now, if you're Brandon Hawkin, you're in a really good spot. You're kind of chilling right now. He's already down and away, and he's got a hefty lead over the second and third place competitors right now. Lowry and Goke are out to lunch unless they start working together.
Out of a second and a faster pit stop, did Brandon Hawkin have an 8.5 second stop compared to Goke's 9.5. And Josh, he pointed this out earlier. Time spent on pit road. Brandon Hawkin, the fastest car in and out of pit road on the racetrack. 34.5 seconds on pit road.
Yeah, I was going to call that out. 34.5 versus 37.1 for Goke. So while Goke was able to make up time on the Lowry machine, it wasn't by much, but you know what this is going to give him the opportunity to do? Catch up to Lowry. Be able to potentially salvage a second place finish here for Goke. Lowry was having such a good race for him. Unfortunately, with that late race contact, and it looked like a wing replacement he had to do, that's going to put him back into the grips of the Goke machine. Now we'll see if that rear wing is damaged and whether or not Goke will be able to catch up to Lowry here at the end of this race.
Begs the question for race admin Ben Easterday, what would happen if he accidentally just slipped and threw a caution and just ruined this whole thing?
Ruin it. You might salvage it.
Oh my goodness. So right now, pending disaster, Brandon Hawkin might have this in the bag. We'll see, though. It's a 7-second gap between Hawkin and Lowry, but that potential damage, we mentioned that Lowry probably had to have a wing replacement on his pit stop, and Goke might have had to have some damage fixed. So, Josh, I think pending a meteor hitting the Pocono Raceway right now, Hawkin's got this race all locked up.
Yeah, I definitely think that is definitely possible. Now, there's a couple of things that could happen. Obviously, Hawkin could get involved in someone else's incident. It's definitely possible. We've seen it happen before, especially as we're going to get closer to the end of this race. People are going to try and push their fuel a little bit longer if they know they're not going to have not going to have enough to make it if they just kept pushing it, and they're going to be out longer on tires than they normally would. But I don't think that'll happen. I think right now the most likely thing for Hawkin that he has to look out for is potentially a power outage at his house.
So we'll see how the Canadian power will hold up for Brandon Hawkin. But right now he's got a lot of power underneath that car as he currently leads. As Jonathan Goke has passed Robert Lowry. That's for second. You see on your screen right now. So definitely looks like Goke has his damage fixed. Lowry might be nursing a little bit. But we'll see if they can maybe try something to kind of link up and draft up to Brandon Hawkin. But they are running out of time to do it. So we'll go over briefly the running order here after pit stops have completed. Brandon Hawkin is your leader. Jonathan Goke second. Robert Lowry third. Blake Trawick up to fourth. Paige Morton fifth. Tommy Bordeaux sixth. Austin Knight seventh. Hamilton Akabueze is in eighth. On the lead lap, by the way. So good job, Hamilton, to kind of claw his way back to the lead lap. Bryce Sauce in ninth. Brian Sabelski 10th. Darren Ingram 11th. Matthew Brewer is 12th. John Poole the third in 13th. Paul Mikolajczyk 14th, Sahaj Padyar in 15th, and those are the only 15 cars on the racetrack. Started out with 33 cars here, Kevin. We have slashed the field in half, more than half, down to 15.
Yeah, and I think we got rid of about a third of them in maybe an eighth of a mile at the beginning of the race. I know a lot of guys were really upset. The second wreck doing even even more frustration. I know Justin Malillo had a great result last week, finished second, had a shot at the win there at the end. And, this is not the way you want your second race to go. Is even more contact for Lowry. Lowry is flirted with that wall a couple of times. He's even kissed it a handful of times as well. Gets below that yellow line. And the crazy thing about these guys, they're definitely not, they're racing and they're definitely not friendly right now. But the crazy part of it all is if they slingshot each other like this, it is faster. It is a faster method of racing. So if they are, a little bit cooperative here, they could eat into this lead a little bit, but they keep doing this, going back and forth. It's a little bit too aggressive. You got to coordinate it a little bit. But if we see a caution that they need, it might be because they're part of it.
I don't know. I mean, they're making up some time. They made up half a second on Hawken right now, but it's kind of going back up here with them jostling for position. So Hawken kind of keeping at a steady pace. They're running side by side, and I don't know why they haven't realized this, Josh. I mean, you got to realize that it's 2-on-1, and they got to work together to get up there. And right now, they're just content on racing each other hard for this second spot here.
Yeah, we saw it executed to perfection last week. The two leaders for the US 500 were just playing a game of you lead, no, you lead, no, you lead. Every single straightaway, they were doing a swap around, trying to make sure that they maintain their lead. Something that Brandon Hawkins...
Oh, Lowry's in the wall again.
Man, that's not what you want to do. That's not going to help out either one of your cases. You just need to work together, and unfortunately, that gap is getting just a little bit longer because these two drivers are not able to work on a conjunction plan that'll help them move forward.
And might not have a choice now to work together. Does Robert and Goke now? The lead is held at 7.1 seconds throughout this lap. So Brandon Hawken last time by with a 39.476. Goke and Lowry about 0.2 slower. Goke 0.2 slower. Lowry about 0.4 slower. So this is not the optimal move here for Lowry and Goke here, guys. And time is winding down. We're quickly coming to 10 laps to go, and not a caution in sight right now unless something really weird happens.
Yeah, last time by they were a little bit quicker, but I think that's just a matter of pace.
Sahaj just got a black flag, and I'm not quite sure. Oh, speeding on pit entry. Oh, no, that's going to basically ruin his chances to get 2 points today. He's going to be forced to be happy with 1.
I think he would still be happy with 1 with
all things considered.
The type of race he's had. Yeah, it's been quite an adventure for him. So he should be able to get that car serviced and back out there and not lose any time at all, really. I mean, he's got, I believe he's got about 27 laps on Zach Mitchell. He could probably just pull out and call it a night. And I think that's what he's going to do for this one. So Sahaj knows he's got some points. He's going to take the points and be good with it. So good on Sahaj for persevering in this race and getting something out of it, as opposed to just pulling off and getting nothing. So going to get himself at least a point, which is good. And speaking of points, Brandon Hawken appears to be on his way to max points here.
Look at the interval this time by, and it's pretty much identical, 6.5 seconds. It fluctuates a little bit depending on where they are on the track, but it really is holding serve at this point. They're going to have a Hail Mary. They're going to have to start running mid-38s, and no one's really been able to do that all race. I think the fastest lap I've seen all race is around a 38.9. I know Hawken ran a couple 38.9s right before that last pit stop. So barring a caution, I think you're right, Sean. Hawken just needs to have a clean race for the next 10 laps or so. Not a lot of traffic in front of him. One car, and Darren Ingram, who's pretty much holding the same pace. So if Hawken really wants to, he can kind of chill right behind him, kind of hold his pace. Austin Knight up the road, having a really good race, having a clean race in the MRP. vehicle. He's currently in 8th spot, last car on the lead lap. Hamilton has made his way up to 7th, about 2 seconds ahead of him. So I think we're starting to see the results take shape as Ingram lets Hawken by. Close to the back here, a couple battles. This is for what, 4th? Yeah, Trawick, Morton, and Bordeaux battle for 4th.
So that'll be the most exciting thing happening on the racetrack right now. So we know the top 3 are pretty much a lock right now. Maybe not second. We got Goke and maybe Lowry can make a small run at him. But give a call to everyone here, Trawick, Morton, and Bordeaux. They have all been just right there. They had their solid top 10s here. Josh, as Bordeaux nearly gets the wall off of turn 2 or 3 there. But a solid run for these 3 drivers for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a bit of a battle here because the difference between 4th and 6th is 17 points versus 13 points. So there's a lot. I mean, in a long season format, 4 points could make or break a couple of point scenarios. So you're going to want to push it here and try and outperform if you can and get those points when you can, because having a good run like this, I mean, you don't know when you're going to get those, especially at these oval races where you don't have a fast repair. You can't make up for a broken suspension component. So you're going to have to capitalize. They'll be happy with a 6th place finish, don't get me wrong, but you're going to need to capitalize if you want to even stay in the championship hunt.
Off turn number 3, Hawkins still leading, and right now, Kevin, it's not going to be a race for the lead if this thing stays green. So pretty much Lowry and Goke have made their beds right now. So I guess we can maybe just kind of settle in on this battle for 4th. So this is definitely has some implications to it right now. So all 3 of these drivers, I don't think they're going to want to give an inch as this race comes to a close.
Yeah, Trawick right now currently in 4th. Paige Morton, she's having a really clean race, currently 5th. Bordeaux. And points are so valuable in a system like this where, in a conventional NASCAR system, you can escape with points if you finish even in 30th. With this, it's way more valuable. You might as well call it a failure if you go from 16th to 30th on back. It's a null finish. You don't get any reward for it. So, it's... These guys got to keep an eye on that, but I think they also got to realize if they wreck here, they're going to lose a handful of spots. Back towards the front a little bit, Lowry has clipped the wall again, but he is also back in the wake of Jonathan Goke. He ran a 39.02 last time by. Goke ran a 29.
Here we go.
And here he goes, side by side. Obviously, these guys know they can't catch him. Can't catch Hawken. Might as well fight it out for a second, and Goke is in the wall.
Jonathan Goke with a big moment off of turn number 3. That is not what he needs to see. That car is wounded already. He's still able to keep Robert at bay because he has a slightly faster car with less damage. So, Josh, this is going to be tricky. Both of these cars are damaged as we see Goke trying to break the draft here for second. You would think this would be for the win, but it isn't. But what does Robert have to do to even have a chance here to get around Goke?
I don't know, but he's going to have to figure it out really quickly. There's a big point swing there, 5 points in either direction, whether it's second or third. So he's going to want to do as much as he can to try and get past there. That's a big point swing and a good finish here. So I think he's going to throw everything he can at it.
4 laps to go for Brandon Hawkins. Set and sail right now. The lead has been chopped down a little bit. It went from 7.1 seconds to right now it's at about 6 seconds, but that is more than enough ground between he and Jonathan Goke to keep a comfortable margin there. They would have to make up a heck of a lot of time to catch him as Goke coming up on the lap car, Darren Ingram. Ingram going to pull to the bottom and let him go. And it looks like that last little effort there, Kevin, for Robert is going to be kind of what seals his 3rd place finish for him. So he's just losing more ground by the second to Goke.
Yeah, and we really don't know how much of that damage he got fixed. We are kind of theorizing that maybe the wing replacement is what kept him in there longer. Another factor is, too, maybe he didn't keep an eye on his fuel. How much did he really need? Not a lot of experience, I'm not sure. But, at the end of the day, he has just been a little bit slower than Goke. He's been so close, but it just gets too tight. And I think right now it's kind of spelling the same case. Still about 7/10 behind. You never know. The draft in this car is so strong. But if Goat keeps weaving like he is, as someone's in the pits.
Yeah, that's
That
Paul
is
Mikolajczyk for his second time. He's serving a penalty right now, so that reopens the door for Sahaj to get 2 points. Sorry, Kevin.
Hearing from some sources that Blake Trawick, currently in 4th, might be short on fuel. Also explains why these guys behind him, Morton and Bordeaux, they have not even tried to make any ground on Blake. Maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel for the end. 2 laps to go. Huge 2.5-mile track. Every ounce counts trying to get around this facility.
And Blake has got the most laps on this stint right now. He's currently working lap 28 of his current stint. Paige and Tommy should be good to go to the end. Maybe Tommy might be close. He's on lap 27. Paige should be all good. She's on lap 23 of her run. So it's going to be close for Blake for sure. As we're coming down, Brandon Hawken making his way through turn 2. Dominant effort here today, especially in the second half of this race. Executed on pit road perfectly all race long. And he's got minimal traffic to deal with. 1 car to the outside, off of turn number 4. And Brandon Hawken.
Yeah, Trawick's out.
Brandon Hawken is going to win the Pocono 400 in commanding fashion. Trawick is out of fuel, slowing down to 125 miles per hour.
They're racing hard. This is for 4th place finish right here. Who's going to be able to get it to the line?
Out of turn number 3, Morton's got the run on the high side. She clears Bordeaux, and Paige Morton will finish in the 4th position after an exciting race for 4th. And everybody's still winding on down. Blake Trawick, not sure if he's going to be able to make it around. He's in turn 3 right now on the very bottom. There you see him kind of limping that car around. He might be able to coast if he's lucky from here, but that's going to definitely hinder his finishing. Still kind of slipping down, but I think he should be okay right now in 6th. He'll be the first car, I guess, not a lap down. He should be able to coast back from here. See some more cars coming around to get into pit road. Just horrific crashes back there, but not for this guy. Brandon Hawken, controlled burnouts, almost nosed into the wall right there. He is your winner here tonight at Pocono. As we were saying, played the strategy perfectly, executed perfectly, and Josh, typical Brandon Hawken win, methodical, all planned out, and perfectly executed for Hawken as he picks up win number 1 on the season.
Oh, absolutely. This is a massive rebound after the disappointing finish at the US 500. He led the field to green and did not have the result to show what he was doing out there. So, fortunately, he is able to put 30 points to his name. Not quite the US 500's 50 points to his name, but a good rebound nonetheless, Sean.
Absolutely. So Hawken finishes off what's left of his tires there to burn him down. Very difficult to burn this car out. So kudos to Hawken. He will drive, do a little Polish victory lap right now as he's going to make a slight turn and head into pit road. Final results here from the Pocono 500 or 400, I should say. Brandon Hawken, your winner. Dominating effort tonight. Jonathan Goke, Robert Lowry finish out the podium positions. Paige Morton will finish 4th. Tommy Bordeaux 5th. Blake Trawick in 6th. Hamilton Akabueze still finished a lap down after a valiant effort to get back up there after speeding. Still gets a top 10. Solid points. Austin Knight will come home in 8th. Bryce Saucier in 9th. And Josh Bryant Sabelski will round out the top 10.
Yeah, and then we'll go to 11th. Aaron Ingram is going to get that 11th position 3 laps down. Share with Matthew Brewer, also 3 laps down. Look at Matthew Brewer, started 31st tonight, was able to get up to 12th. That's a good rebound showing right there that just staying out of trouble was a good way to go about racing here. John Poole 3rd. He's going to finish 13th. Paul Mikolajczyk 14th. Manages to keep himself out in front of Sahaj, even though they both had late race penalties. Sahaj rounds out 15th, and we'll round out our points takers for today's race. Zach Mitchell, our first DNF of the race, or our furthest forward DNF of the race, started 32nd, got up to 16th, was looking for a stronger run there, but unfortunately got caught up with some unfortunate incidents. Callie Bejan is going to take out 17th with Isaac Johnson, Cole Freilich, and Jack Pater running out our top 20.
And we'll go down Jake Poole in 21st, Blake Reynolds in 22nd, Nate Stewart, Cody Ware, Hunter Smith, Seth Eggert, Justin Malillo, Bill Colley II, Cody Vervinkt, I'm going to say the name right that time, Ryan Pandicio rounds out the first 30, and on down again. More disappointing races for these drivers. Ended a lot earlier than they should have. Ryan Naraki 31st, Spencer Ray, David Cabrera, Aaron Smith II, Nick Pressey, Josh Stoltz, Nick Roten, and Andrew Schulte will all finish this race at the very end. God, I think the last 5 there did not start this race. So,
Yeah, they were all
That's
DNF
correct.
or DNS.
but nonetheless, we have a winner here. We'll go ahead and bring him in here. Brandon Hawken, our race winner from tonight. We'll not waste any time. Brandon, all the time we get to interview you in this, it always seems you're either winning or finishing second right now, and I feel very privileged to be able to interview you again for another race win. So tell us about that run to the finish. That you guys had to execute the strategy very well. You, Gok, and everyone else were pretty much on different strategies. So what was the game plan going forward? Were you thinking of maybe kind of trying what Gok was doing, or did you just have your game plan from the get-go and stuck to it?
Yeah, I to be honest didn't know what I was gonna do. I just I knew like the tires they wore in a way that they were like faster at the end of the run, and plus you have like a lot less fuel in the back. So I was just stretching my runs for as long as I could, and yeah, I managed to get a decent gap after a couple of those pit stops. And yeah, I wasn't sure exactly how it was all going to pan out, but man, I guess there's a little bit of contact behind me there, and I'm not sure if that had much of an effect or not. But man, had a really great lead coming out for the final pit stop, and yeah, from there it was just logging laps, trying to go as fast as I could without hitting the wall. It got really tight behind cars, so you had to really be careful not to push up into the wall. And yeah, just had it. I was just going, and yeah, Gok and oh man, there were like 4 of us. Yeah, Gok, Robert, and Hamilton. Man, I mean, shame about the penalty for him, but man, that was some really great racing between all 3 of them. And man, I was just got lucky enough there to have a really good gap after the final pit stop. And man, what a race. Like we went like, I don't know, like 160, or no, not 160, 130 laps or something. Green flag. That was so much fun. So just yeah, I'd like to thank all those guys for a really great clean race. And man, yeah, it was kind of a new sort of experience, I guess. We didn't really have too much strategy involved in the 500, and so this time it was kind of new for all of us, I think. And yeah, I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. It happened to work out, but man, that was a lot of fun. Really great racing.
It looked like a lot of fun for sure, especially when you guys were racing a lot. So good rebound from you for last week. So definitely good to take max points here after last week in the US 500. So where do you guys go from here for the rest of the season? So what's going to be the end goal? Are we going to go ahead and just try to win every race from here on out? We know you're going to be in contention. So what's going to be the game plan from this race on out to kind of keep yourself up towards the top of the leaderboard there in the standings?
I would at least like to finish all the races clean, and finish like in relative good points. Yeah, last week I had a really strong run going. It didn't quite end the way I wanted, but there's a lot of racing left, so I'm just trying to click off those podiums, hopefully. And we got some road courses coming up, so I'm really looking forward to those. I have so much fun in the road courses with this car. It's definitely a lot different from like basically any car on the service. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We got Spa, I believe, coming up, and that, yeah, I'm just like, whether it's an oval or road course, this thing puts on really great racing. And man, the good amount of tire wear, strategy involved, lots of drafts, so it creates some really exciting racing. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Well, road course or oval, nonetheless, if we had online betting here for this series, I would put a lot of money on you every week, Brandon. So very good showing as always. Very good race. Great win tonight, man. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week at Spa, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you, all you guys in the booth. Everybody brings this thing to everybody to watch. And of course, for like FTF for just like letting us race these cool combinations. Is a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll see you guys in the interview booth tomorrow in Cup. Not sure if it'll end like that, but hopefully it does. And we'll see you guys next time.
Absolutely, Brandon. Thanks for joining us, man. Race winner here tonight from Pocono, the happiest guy in iRacing for sure. Always love getting an interview, Brandon. And we'll go down to our P2 finisher here, Jonathan Goke, and he is standing by with Josh Mendoza. Josh.
Yes, Jonathan Goke finally getting points on the board now after the late race incident last week. You were able to come back out here and finally get some points on the board. How does that feel?
I'm tired. I am absolutely tired, but I think that might be one of the best races I've ever had on this sim. Like racing with Brandon, and even though Hamilton had the spinning penalty and Robert, like I think that us four were the class of the field, and just so much respect, so much fun. This car, this track, I love this track. I can go, oh, I'm tired. I love it. I'm stoked.
There you go. We heard you come over the radio, said your rear wing had some damage. That didn't affect you? It looked like you and Lowry were able to have a good battle towards the end. But it looks like you guys just didn't have anything for Hawken there at the end.
No, we were just too far back. I know you guys talked on earlier, like I got the lead too early, had to pit, and everybody always says new tires are worth so much. Not in this car. Old tires are worth so much. Like they're about worth a second. Like cold tires are absolutely awful. But luckily, I was able to. I think I ate up the gap 5 seconds on 2 separate occasions, and I just couldn't get on the last run. But I'm stoked with second. Like Brandon ran a hell of a race. All those guys, it was just so much fun.
There you go. 23 points to your name. That's going to move you pretty far forward into the point standings. What do you what's your plan for the rest of the season? Going to continue to lay low and just try to get these finishes in?
Yeah, just finished. I was listening to Brandon. He said he was looking for the road courses. I am not looking forward to the road course. I'll be happy if I can even make the race. But I think I got something on the ovals. Like I think maybe a top 10 in points this year, I'd be happy, and maybe squeak out a win. Maybe at a certain rectangular track that can't be named. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go. Now I'm looking in your background right now, and there looks like there's an empty spot above your 24
Well,
car.
I was hoping you guys would point it because this has been the last couple of weeks. I got a couple more I could put in there.
Oh my!
And then you guys didn't even see that wall.
Oh my goodness!
If any of y'all are new to these broadcasts, Goke has probably the greatest racing man cave out of anybody on the service.
I've got 900 of them, and
oh my
900.
Wow!
And since I got you guys, I want to give a shout out to my wife. She's the one who talked me into these shoe shelves for my Jeff Gordon collection. $7 shoe shelves could fit 21 each. So thanks, Kaylee.
Kevin, you got a long way to go to catch Goke, man.
I got about 100, and I got 800 to go.
Let's just say they have their own insurance policy.
Oh my goodness gracious!
That's amazing.
All right, and last thing I want to hear, what do you think about your Vikings picks in the draft so far?
I'm stoked. Like you guys know, I got 50 jerseys, so I wear a different one every single time for you guys. But I was hoping for defense. I really was, but I also like the Thielen replacement. Like I think the guy from USC can be really, really good. I mean, he made a comment about going to make money, but who goes to the NFL and not want to make money? So I mean, I'm okay with it, but we'll see what he can do. Now, if we can just get some defensive players, maybe we won't be last in the league and win 11 straight one differential games and maybe win a playoff game. I don't know.
Just outscore them. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll put up 50. They put up 52.
There you go. Jonathan Goke going to have points to his name and happiness all over his face. So,
Yep. I just want to say thanks to everybody, FTF, Josh, Jake. I'm forgetting who am I? I know I'm forgetting. Who am I forgetting? I have to look down because I know he crashed pretty early. I can't remember. Justin! I'm sorry, Justin. And everybody in the booth, like, this is just great. I'm going to go back and watch it. Like, I love doing these races. I mean, FTF is a big name in sim racing, and I'm honored to be a part of it. It's awesome.
There you go, Jonathan Goke. Second place finisher here at the Pocono 400.
An excited Jonathan Goke, to say the least. Excited about his draft pick. Excited about his finish tonight. And I think that'll about wrap up our post-race interviews here for our podium finishers. We'll go and get some final thoughts here. Josh, carnage at the beginning of the race, peace and quiet at the end. Had everything, you would say.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I think we got an incredible set of racers here. We just need to get these the initial starts of these races underway in green flag condition, and we could have a very competitive field. I believe that's now 2 times in a row that if you were basically running at the end of the race, you were getting points. So I think that right there tells me that's what the strategy is. Stay out of any sort of wrecks, stay in contention, and by the end of the race, you'll probably have points distributed to your name, Sean.
Definitely, and a lot of good points being earned tonight. A lot of perseverance in this race for sure. And it's on to Spa, as Brandon was mentioning, one of the most popular tracks here for this car on the road courses. So definitely a fan favorite, driver favorite on the sim. So that should be a great race to watch. Be sure to be here for all the action live here on FTF as well. Speaking of action, Kevin, the FTF Cup Series tomorrow night at the Dover International Speedway. I guess, or it's Dover Motor Speedway.
Dover
now,
Motor Speedway.
whatever the heck its name is. So what can we expect for tomorrow night?
I think Dover presents its own battles. Obviously, it's called the Monster Mile for a reason. I'm sure Wyatt Tinsley wants to have a better race than he did there last year. Wants to get past lap 2, turn 2. I think half the field would also want to do the same. So hopefully, we don't repeat tonight, have carnage in the first few laps of the race. Hopefully, we model the behavior we've done for about 80% of the races this year. We wreck a couple times, we have a long green flag run, and then we wreck a few more times. So hopefully we can clean it up, but I look forward to everyone showing up tomorrow. Setup's really good. I think it's going to allow for a lot of tire fall off. Tire fall off means a lot of passing, and a lot of passing means a lot of fun. So hopefully tomorrow's fun, despite Dover being a little bit of a challenge as far as getting around that place. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to racing with my teammates Ryan, Cosman, and Justin, and racing with everyone else there tonight.
Absolutely. So I think that'll about wrap it up here for our coverage tonight here. Be sure to be with us tomorrow night again for the FTF Cup Series at Dover, and also right here next week for the MotorRacingPrince.com FTF1 Series live here from Spa. So for everybody here in the booth, Zach Johnson, our producer, Josh Mendoza, Kevin McAdams, Race Control, Benjamin Easterday, I'm Sean Butler. Thank you guys for joining us, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of the day, evening, wherever you are in the world watching. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys here tomorrow and next week live here on FTF. Good night, everybody.